transfer in the fall. And I love being active in civic engagement over in my community. I'm originally was born in Boyle Heights, raised in Lincoln Heights, and just have a big passion of helping out people, especially through means of academia. Academia lifts up people, and what other better place than at the Los Angeles Community College District.
Excellent. And which high school did you come from?
Graduated from Lincoln High School.
All right, Lincoln High in the house. Love it. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Trustees, anybody want to ask Paul a question? Anything else? It's great to have ELAC in the house, and great to have this young man from the east side here. So thank you again for joining us. Trustee Fong, you got a hand up.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Medina, for all your leadership and efforts at East LA College. Paul Medina is very engaged in the community, as you stated earlier. I see him at all the different meetings and events around the community. So, Mr. Medina, thank you for all your leadership. Thanks for leading us in the flag salute today, and thank you for everything you do in the community. And it's good to see you. Thank you.
Great. Trustee Hoffman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Medina, for being here and for leading us in the flag salute. I love seeing non-traditional age students in our board meetings and on our campuses. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, thank you, Paul. Oh, Trustee Henderson.
Paul, thank you so much. I just want to tell you that you rock and you make ELAC proud.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you, Paul. It's a little, we all wish we could be on the campuses. We usually visit during our board meetings, but this is the best version of visiting by bringing a little bit of you into our meetings. So thank you for joining us here, and appreciate you leading us in the flag salute. So, okay, with that, thank you very much. Next, colleagues, I wanted to, we have one adjourn in memory that I wanted to offer, and it's and I know I had a chance to discuss him very quickly with Trustee Moreno, and I'd like to have our board meeting here adjourned in the memory of Mr. Gil Garacos. And Trustee Moreno, you have your hand up.
Joining into the room now.
Okay. I want to provide space for Trustee Moreno, since Mr. Garacos has been a longtime fixture on the east side, and a consummate public servant. Had been recognized at one time as the mayor of East LA. So was a Greek Mexican who had worked for Supervisor Edelman back in the day. So Trustee, I know you and I spoke very quickly. I'm going to read a little bit about his background, and if you want to talk for a few words, I'd welcome it here. So for this meeting, we'll adjourn in memory of Mr. Gil Garacos for his commitment to the community. He was affectionately called the mayor of East LA. Gil was a public servant, dedicated his entire career to serving the interests of Latinos and underserved communities. His career spanned decades of senior and executive level positions in Los Angeles city and county governments. He was responsible for the management and administration of major public works projects that benefited the communities of East LA and the East San Fernando Valley, served as a special assistant for Sam Yorty, and later served as the Assistant Chief Deputy to Supervisor Edwin Edelman. He worked on issues like community health centers, school construction efforts on the east side. Before his retirement, he served as Chief of Staff to Councilman Richard Alatorre. He passed away on April 25th and is survived by his wife, Lydia, close friends and family who love him, miss him dearly. And I understand there's a number of folks on the east side that will be working together to put together a scholarship in his name with the East LA College Foundation for students at that college. So I wanted to acknowledge that. So Trustee, I know you interacted with him during your career. Did you want to offer any comments?
I do remember his name, and I remember interacting with him, and I can actually remember his face. But very candidly, it was quite a long time ago. I don't know when Edelman stopped being a supervisor, but it was an extended period of time. So I do remember him as a fine gentleman, as a man who cared about the East LA community and was always committed to certainly East LA College. And I mourn his passing.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Vela?
Yes, thank you, President Vettis, and thank you, Trustee Moreno. I was lucky enough to be one of his predecessors, taking the role as senior deputy to East Los Angeles with Supervisor Gloria Molina. And you're right, he started a lot of the infrastructure. Actually, one of the first focus groups for the Eastside Gold Line was when Supervisor Edelman was in office. Shortly after there, Supervisor Molina succeeded him, and he was known as the mayor of East LA, the unofficial mayor of East LA. And, he brought a lot of resources into the community. And when I was in his position, I was told to meet with him. We never got together, but, he left big shoes to fill out in the East Side. And so, it's sad to hear that he's now gone, but it's very encouraging to have our community, our students know of somebody that really fought for the East Side in particular. Not that, our other areas of LA County aren't important, but the County of Los Angeles certainly has a lot of resources, and it does take staff like Mr. Jaracos to distribute it over to the different communities. So thank you for bringing it up, President Vettis. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Okay, so with that, colleagues, we'll adjourn in Gil's memory here. So next, approval of our agenda order of business. Trustees, is there any objections for the agenda as presented to you?
Mr. Vettis, I do have a couple of changes. If I could note those first.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chancellor. I forgot. I didn't see the note here, or I saw the note, but it skipped over it really quickly. So yes, before we approve the agenda, we have a couple of changes per the Chancellor. So Chancellor, if you could present those to the board.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Vettis. Good afternoon, members of the board, colleagues. There are two items I'd like to bring to your attention. First, we'd like to remove item AA4. AA4, please remove the item. Frankly, we had already addressed this item, the board, in the previous month, so that was a carryover. Does not need to be there. Please remove item AA4 from the agenda. And then also, I'd like to, with your concurrence, move item Y1. Y1 is the approval, the amendment to the LA City College 2002 Facilities Master Plan, Environmental Impact Report, and approval of the 2021 Los Angeles City College Facilities Master Plan update. So if we could move not the item itself in its entirety in terms of the content's exactly the same, just move it in order to after J1. So in summary, moving item Y1 to after J1 and removal of item AA4. And that's it, sir. Thank you. Everything else we present to you as ordered.
Thank you, Chancellor. Colleagues, any objections to the agenda as presented and modified by the Chancellor? Seeing none, we'll deem that accepted by the full board. And we'll move forward with item E, which is the approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee. Motion by Trustee Hoffman, seconded by Trustee Vela. Let me run through the roll call really quick here, and I'll do Trustee Vela, your vote.
Yes.
Trustee Fong.
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Bola.
Yes.
Student Trustee Jeronimo.
Yes.
Trustee Moreno.
Yes.
And I vote yes. So those agenda minutes are approved. Now we'll move to reports from representatives of the employee organizations. So if I can ask for those that would like to speak to the board, address the board, if you can please raise your hand, and we'll have our staff move you over into the panelist section. Okay, so, and I'll just remind, I know there's a handful of people that would like to make comments. We'll have public comments coming up later in the meeting. These are from employee organizations and groups in the district. So let me first kick this off with our Academic Senate President, Angela Echeverry. Angela?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and Feliz Cinco de Mayo. I wanted to, first of all, say that as we prepare to transition now back into an in-person or more normal environment, I think it's very important for us to not lose sight of some of the things that have happened in the last year, and in particular express our concerns about the loss of enrollment of students, and specifically the loss of first-time students. And that loss of first-time students is being felt particularly hard at our campuses or our colleges where we have the most vulnerable communities. And I think that addressing that loss of students and what they've been through in the last year is critical. I think we all need to come together, put everything on the table, and find a way to help re-engage these students, because the amount of trauma and learning loss that these students have been through, and I say this as a parent, learning loss is real. It's happening right now, and it will take a while for these students to get back, many of these students to get back into a situation where they are able to fully engage in college. And I think it's going to take all of us working together and being very innovative and trying to figure out how do we help them come back. So I just want to say that from the faculty standpoint, we are eager and willing and ready to have those conversations. Some of those conversations may be difficult, and some of those conversations may fly in the face of what we've done in the past, but I think it's absolutely critical for us to address what has happened to our students and how can we re-engage the students? And in particular, it's some of our colleges that have been hit very, very hard. So I just want to say that we are looking and at all possible solutions. I think we need to really be innovative here, because these are extraordinary times, and extraordinary times take extraordinary measures. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, I see Joanne Waddell from our Faculty Guild.
Thank you, President Veras. Joanne Waddell, representing the Los Angeles College Faculty Guild, AFT 1521. May is traditionally a month of recognitions. Some are cultish, like yesterday's Star Wars, May the 4th be with you, or Kentucky Derby Day on Saturday. Some are culturally based, like today's Cinco de Mayo, this coming weekend's Mother's Day, or this month's Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Some educationally based, like May Day, Labor History Month, Mental Health Month, or graduations. Not that those are all related. And some from gratitude, like it's Public Service Recognition Week, Teacher Appreciation Week, and National Nurses Week. Given these frameworks, I think it's time and entirely appropriate for this board to recognize and acknowledge in tangible ways the resilience, the creativity, and the commitment of the LACCD faculty during this pandemic. And it's time to implement protocols and demonstrate a level of accountability that supports health, safety, and respect that the faculty have earned and deserve. On behalf of the Faculty Guild, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you. And bear with me as I'm going through the list. I want to make sure I cover everybody. I see Manny Rangel from SEIU 99.
Good afternoon, Board President, Trustees, Chancellor, Cabinet, staff, students, and members of the public. My name is Manny Rangel, Public Affairs Manager for SEIU Local 99, currently representing workers who work for the most part in maintenance and operations. Our members are some of the lowest paid employees in the region when compared to the surrounding community colleges. As an example, custodians in LACCD get paid 5 to 6% less than their counterparts in Long Beach Community College, Santa Monica Community College, PCC, Glendale, and El Camino College. That's why our union has submitted a wage proposal in negotiations to right these inequities that have existed in LACCD for way too long. The district claims that they cannot deal with these inequities because of the future fiscal projections, but we know that when there's a will to make something happen, fiscal projections have been put aside to right institutional wrongs. For instance, take the city of LA and the county of LA, who in the middle of the pandemic and under fiscal uncertainty found a way to dedicate funds to begin to address inequities of our Black brothers and sisters in the community. We know that doing the right thing is never easy and sometimes very hard, but we're counting on you to make things right with the lowest hardworking workforce in LACCD. On a side note, I also want to encourage all of the college presidents and all of the people that are involved in shared governance to make sure that custodial positions are being allocated. We want to make sure that the college campuses are safe for everyone, for all of our stakeholders, students, for workers, and we want to make sure that our students know that we're making sure that campuses are being cleaned and sanitized, and that we're making plans to have the appropriate staffing to do so. For those of you that have been around, you know that we're in a very bad place when it comes to custodial staffing at the colleges. And so we want to make sure that we fix those issues before we start escalating the number of people reporting in person to campus. So thank you so much for your time. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Manny. And Matt Jordan from our Deans and Teamsters 911.
Good afternoon, trustees. Last Friday, we held our spring membership meeting. Chancellor Rodriguez delivered inspiring opening remarks, and we wanted to thank him. Then we engaged in an interactive workshop led by a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant on becoming anti-racist colleges, specifically on a dean's role in this effort and strategies to achieve this. The event was very successful, and we're dedicated to continuing this work. Thank you.
Thank you, much appreciated. And that's all I see from employee orgs. Correct me if I'm wrong, or raise your hand if I missed you. Nope, that covers that. Okay, sounds good. Next, I would like to note to the board that we've all received the Chancellor's monthly report that's also available to the public, which includes activities at the colleges from the college presidents. Do any of the presidents wish to further comment or highlight anything that was not included in the written report? If yes, if you can raise your hand and be acknowledged. I don't know if I see any. If I'll give it a minute. Crystal and Lupe, do we have any of our presidents that would like to highlight anything that wasn't in the report?
Dr. Roman is raising his hand.
Okay.
We'll pull him in.
Thank you.
Dr. Roman is in now.
Thank you. So President Roman, East LA College.
Yes, thank you so much, President Vettis, members of the board, Chancellor Rodriguez. Just real quick, I want to share with you some really good news coming out of East LA College. Let you know that 3 of our scholars, 3 students, are recipients of the Jack Kent Cook Foundation Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship. This is, as you know, one of the toughest scholarships to receive. We have 3 students this year from East LA College who are recipients, so we're very excited and happy for them. We will not share their names with you just yet because the students are actually being informed. They're being class bond or Zoom bond, if you will, into their classes. So we will have a formal press release and a celebration. And again, I just want to rejoice with you and this wonderful news from our scholars coming from East LA. 3 recipients. We have not had one since 2016. So this is great for us, and excuse me, look forward to more celebrations in the years to come. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this great news.
Fantastic, thank you. That's wonderful news, and we always look forward to the Jack Kent Cook Scholars. It's a fantastic scholarship, and it will change these young people's lives for sure. So thank you for that. Any other presidents? Seeing none, we'll move forward and close this report to the board section, and we will move on to resolutions. And I will say, in the preparation of this agenda, there was, and I think it was raised by President Waddell, there are so many different kinds of acknowledgements and celebratory pieces, and and different kinds of things from May Day that kicks off the month to certainly today, Cinco de Mayo, with the kind of like, you know, I always point to UCLA's work in sort of connecting the continuous celebration of Cinco de Mayo as a pride point in the Mexican community here, going back to 1863 in this state, which is fascinating. Not really celebrated as much in Mexico, but it certainly has been a tradition in California for various things. But along with all the other things that come up in terms of the Day of the Immigrant and Day of the Teacher and on and on and on it goes for May. But we thought we would leave space to recognize a person who's been with us through the entire COVID experience and has been such a breath of fresh air, connecting with students. It was always wonderful to have a student come and do a presentation and say, "Hey, you were in my class." You know, that was always fantastic to have in terms of the connection. But I wanted to give an opportunity here in the resolution section to acknowledge the tremendous work that our student trustee did in the entire year, and to allow colleagues, all of you, to offer comments to him, and certainly encouragement. He's been a student first and foremost, but has been an absolutely thoughtful representative of students here at the Board of Trustee levels, and an incredible thing where we were always so much disconnected from the campus communities because of COVID and having to do all these things by distance. You know, technology here, having Elias Jeronimo being part of this experience for us was really tremendous. So trustees, in front of you, we have a resolution in appreciation of his service as student trustee. And I want to open it up well, actually, let me open it up for a motion to approve and a second. And then we'll take some comments on this item. So if we can open it up.
I'll second.
Thank you. Now, actually, because this agenda has been popped forward, I will take these resolutions, but I do know I skipped over quickly public comment on other items on the agenda, but we'll do the resolutions and move back to the public comments. I'm self-correcting here in terms of the agenda moving, but so this resolution, it's approved or motioned by Trustee Vela, seconded by Trustee Hoffman. Colleagues, if there's any of you that would like to make a comment, I'll ask the Chancellor to make a comment, and then Trustee Jeronimo, I ask you to wrap it up for us here. So Trustee Vela, comments.
Thank you, President Vettis. First of all, I just want to thank student trustee Elias Jeronimo for not only serving really as our student trustee, but for really working hard to bringing to light a lot of the importance of our students. Just, you know, at the short time of a year that we had His Grace with us, he was working hard for the students during the pandemic. And what you saw was that there was true communication from the ASO presidents at each college. There was multiple written communication to the Chancellor, to the Board of Trustees on some of these items. He was able to tap me as chair of the Public Affairs and Legislative Committee, which you know, Trustee Fong now possesses, to put together a textbook piece of legislation that's currently part of our budget, our state budget. And so, you know, with that being said, our students, through student trustee Elias Jeronimo, really were able to speak. And we saw that. And not only that, but they were able to shape policy, you know, not only here with us locally, but at the state level and at the county level with, you know, our Fair List program that we're going to be lobbying and you know, ensuring that passes soon. And I want to thank student trustee Elias Jeronimo for getting himself in front of the Metro Board of Directors and everyone else. And you know, so this is a partnership we want with our student trustee. You are a full member of us. And we also acknowledge the various, you know, perhaps resources that you will further need, and this student trustee will further need. So I'm glad we're going to be talking about that today. But Elias, you did a fantastic job. I am absolutely so happy that you were elected by all of the students of LACCD, and buena suerte. And I wish you just honestly the best of luck for everything you do. I'm just so confident that you're just going to excel in life. So thank you so much for all your hard work. You work really hard.
Thank you, Trustee Vela. Trustee Hoffman?
Thank you. Elias, I'm so proud of you. And we're very, very excited to hear what the future holds. Your leadership was terrific on this board, and you got to experience me as board president, and also for the second half of your term, President Veras. And you were really a breath of fresh air when you came onto this board, and we really, really, I think all of us appreciated your input. The student trustee bill that you weighed in on, we're going to work on some of the things that you feel strongly about, especially around student pay. And I want to thank you for bringing that to our attention, and you made some really good points. I know LA City College is going to miss you tremendously, and we just want to, I personally want to just say good luck, and I expect to hear great things about you in the future. Don't be a stranger and stay in touch with us.
Okay, fantastic. Trustees, I'll go ahead and run down the line here, so you don't have to raise your hand, but it's always great to acknowledge you're a colleague of us through the whole year. So, and certainly, for those of us that have gone through many different student trustees during our tenure, it was always a tremendous connection that we get a chance to make with your voice, and hearing you be so consistent and strong for student interest here. And that's fantastic here. So next, Trustee Bona, I'm going to give you a minute here.
Thank you. I do want to thank Student Trustee Geronimo. I think it was during the pandemic, he was able to clearly articulate a position and be successful for students. It was a pleasure working with him. We've actually never met in person, and I want to ditto everything that my colleague said. I think he was an excellent, top-notch addition to this board for this time period. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Fong.
Thank you so much, President Veras, and good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. And thank you, Trustee Elias Geronimo, for your leadership. This past year has just gone by so fast, and it's been one of the most challenging periods of our lives. And I think to Trustee Bona's point, I only met you one time in real life, and that was just actually a couple months ago when we were at Harbor College for the food distribution with Trustees Vela and Henderson. And you were out there advocating for the students and distributing much needed food to our students and their families. And it wasn't just your leadership at Harbor College, but throughout the year. Recently, you also reached out on an anti-AAPI hate forum that will be happening at East LA College with students later this month. So thank you for your leadership with that event as well. And thank you for everything you're doing. As Trustee Vela referenced in terms of the Transit Pass program, your leadership at the board of directors at Metro. And we look forward to everything that you'll be doing in the future. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. And again, at the forum, I look forward to seeing at the end of the month announcing AAPI hate, and wish everyone a happy API Heritage Month. As Trustee President Veras has referenced, we'll have a number of resolutions coming on at a future meeting. But congratulations, Trustee Geronimo. Please keep in touch, and anything that we can be helpful, anything I can help with, please let us know. I look forward to everything you'll be doing, and congratulations and best wishes. Thank you.
Fantastic. Trustee Henderson.
Thank you, President Veras. Student Trustee Geronimo, I cannot say enough. You have been a steadfast advocate for your peers, your fellow students, and you did so over this past year without looking for any type of accolades or self-gratification, and I applaud you for that. It was a pleasure to have met you in person at the Harbor College food drive about a month ago. And I just want to tell you, I'm just so impressed, so proud of you academically. You are such just an absolute sweetheart, and I am so glad to have gotten a chance to get to know you. I wish you the best of luck moving forward. Congratulations on transferring. And again, I will follow the sentiment of the other trustees. If there is anything that I can help you with moving forward, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'm just so very, very proud of you, and great work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Moreno.
Well, yes, I just want to reverberate what has been said so far. I so much appreciate his contribution to our board. Everything couldn't have been better. Thank you.
Okay, trustees, did I get everybody? Yes. Chancellor.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to say a few words. Elias, tanto gusto to have worked with you side by side. It's just not what you've done, but how you've gone about it. Whether you were working with students to amplify their voice and their interests, advocating for a fairless transit system, or ensuring that the voice of students and undocumented students and other students who are underserved in our community colleges get a rightful place in the conversation. You have done so with grace, humility, and a great amount of intelligence, and I think an incredible strategy as well. So very effective in your roles. But so I want to thank you for being your authentic self around us. I wish you the very best as you continue your academic journey. You always will be part of the LACCD family. We're all here to assist you in your next journey and your next milestone. So un abrazo fuerte for your amazing leadership, hermano. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Elias, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chancellor, Board of Trustees members. Well, 2020 was a year of challenges and crises. We saw a lot of bad things happening and injustices, and the other face of humanity as well. The pandemic took a lot from us. It took away the moments that I would have had experienced as a student trustee by attending in-person meetings, by seeing people's faces and reactions toward each other. But we now are finally seeing some light, and our film that nature took away from us is finally coming back. And for that, I'm thankful that to also have served as student trustee. At the beginning, I did doubt about making it to the end of the term because, like many people, I was left unemployed without any income. And as undocumented that I am, it is difficult to receive financial assistance from federal and state governments. So for the past years, I have been dedicating myself in studying only and working part-time, which does not help when it comes to saving for future emergencies like this one. And like myself, there are many other students under the same situation, and I hope that I have given a voice to the undocumented people by being here and providing and proving that we are people with dreams, and many undocumented people many undocumented people are well educated, and when they move here, they have to start over again from zero without knowing the educational system in our state. Many are unaware that programs such as the Dream Resource Center and the First Year Experience Program are here to help. And for that reason, I believe that such programs deserve all the funding needed to assist our community in their journey as well, in their academic journey. I also want to thank the students who stick with me, student leaders, the Student Affairs Committee was able to hold their meetings thanks to them. They were committed to their roles as leadership, as leaders without any absences, and also for their participation in our Region 7 as student delegates. We were able to hold 3 town halls informing the students of their resources available for them, the importance of their civic engagement during elections, and about remote learning. So that was last semester. This semester, I decided not to hold any town hall due to having to go back to work and recover from my financial crisis. So I also want to thank the trustees who were always in touch with me by replying my emails, by the text messages, and making me part of their projects. Deputy Chancellor Melinda Nish for taking in more students' participation in the Sheriff's Oversight Committee and for including me in the process of selecting the security assessment firm. And the Chancellor for always being there for the students as well, for coming to the SAC meeting and recognizing the student leaders with certificates. My advisor, Betsy Regalado, Nicole Huff, and Dr. Corner for being part of the Student Affairs Committee as well. So with that being said, thank you and hasta luego. Yeah.
And I'll say this, student trustee, when we're back in person, you're always welcome to come back. So please feel like you're connected to LACCD forever. So let's take that to heart. I'm sure we'd all, every once in a while I get a chance to run into some of the older student trustees that were here during my first years on the board, and it's always amazing to see the work they're doing and know that we can have a conversation and catch up and see all the great things that they're doing. So again, thank you for that. So colleagues, we have a motion on the table that's been seconded, and let's go through the votes here. And student trustee, I'm going to skip your advisory vote today because for good reason, because this is all about you here. So let's Trustee Fong, your vote.
Yes.
Trustee Vela, your vote.
Absolutely, yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Buelna.
Yes.
Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Moreno.
Yes.
And I am Trustee Fong. I got you, yes?
Yes, thank you.
Sounds good. And I am an enthusiastic yes. So with that, this board unanimously approves this resolution in appreciation of your service and your time. And we send you all the best wishes for your next steps and your future for sure. And please always feel like this is home and you can come back and be part of this in all the ways that you can be. So with that, thank you very much. Second, I'll do the second resolution and then we'll go to the public comment piece. The second resolution is reaffirming the role of the student trustee. This is something that we do on an annual basis as the election process takes place for student trustees. That is happening now, and certainly at all the campuses, the leadership changes in ASO and all these kinds of things are happening. But as you see listed here, there is a value and an acknowledgement of the important voice and contribution that student trustees have. And I know there's several of us who gotten the written materials provided to us by our current student trustee that will be part of an important dialogue. And that is also a piece of an important dialogue statewide too, in terms of the role of the student trustee here. So colleagues, with that, if I can ask for a motion in a second to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Hoffman, seconded by Trustee Vela.
Thank you.
Okay. And let me open up for comments. I think I see Trustee Hoffman wanting to make a comment.
I do want to make a comment, and thank you so much for bringing this forward, President Veras. I know this, we're referencing a board in terms of the monthly compensation, but Chancellor, were we going to take a look at changing the monthly compensation for our student trustee to more accurately reflect the cost of living, inflation, and the work that's actually being done in terms of time spent in that role?
Yes, Trustee Hoffman, that's under review now.
Okay, fantastic. So I would like to, hopefully that board rule will change and we can see an increase in that compensation, and that's all due to your efforts, Student Trustee Geronimo. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments on this item?
President Vettis.
Yes, Trustee Vela.
Just quickly, I just want to, echo Trustee Hoffman on, the dialogue of the compensation. And really, I think today is a bold step. And again, this is student trustee Elias Geronimo's hard work. It takes a lot to be the student trustee for such a large college. And I want to, I don't want to say other community college districts don't have, the amount of colleges that we do, but certainly it is a pretty daunting task to represent the whole district. And I think that this is a very bold first step. And I want to thank the colleagues here on the board, our faculty also for their support in this, as well as the Chancellor. I think this is a much needed dialogue and we need to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Any other comments from the trustees? Seeing none, Lupe, can I ask you to do a roll call vote?
Yes, student trustee Geronimo's advisory vote.
Yes.
Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Fong,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Moreno,
Yes.
trustee Vela,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So now let's move back to public comment, please. Okay, thank you. So first of all, I want to remind the public that we have two public comments in this meeting. The first one is on regular agenda matters, and the other is a general public comment later in the meeting. So this first one is, again, on regular agenda meetings. I want to read this disclosure in terms of our rule process here, and then we have a number of speakers that have submitted requests early, and colleagues will try to work out the time length of the speaking roles here. So the First Amendment and the Brown Act guarantee a member of the public the right to criticize a public employee in their performance of his or her duties. However, speakers are encouraged to focus their comments on issues relevant to the conduct of the public's business rather than on private or unrelated matters. Luca or Cristo, can you let us know what is the final request here, and are there any items that would put us near the 20-minute maximum per roles here for commentary?
Yes, currently we have 12 individuals signed up for agenda matters.
Okay, they all, as I'm looking at it now, colleagues, they appear to be on various matters. If that is the case, then we will, Chancellor, remind me, we have our 2 minutes.
Yes, so you have, at least on the list, of 12 speakers. So typically when it gets beyond a certain number, we limit the number of time, and it does give at least 20 minutes or so per item area. So yes, 2 minutes would be the recommendation.
Okay, colleagues, 2 minutes is the recommendation. Is there any objections to 2 minutes?
Do you know if there are student speakers? Because last time we, jumped the gun and we had students who wanted to have their voices heard. So
there are right now 12 speakers. There are student speakers, and then there's an additional 4 speakers on items not on the agenda. So all in told, we have 16 signed up. That's not to include other individuals that did not submit a speaker's card. These will be first in line. And if there are others in the room that would like to speak that have not submitted a speaker's card, then I will ask them to raise their hand now, and then we can get them through the process. So that is the list currently.
So I'm not in favor of limiting time at this point.
Okay, so Chancellor, if we do not limit time, then it's 3 minutes per speaker?
Yes, sir, 3 minutes is the rule.
Okay, so as it stands for the initial, well, I guess, colleagues, let me do this. Let me ask, is there a motion to move it from 3 minutes to 2 minutes on the floor? If there's no motion, then it stands at 3 minutes, and the students will have 3 minutes each. And at least the initial estimate would be 3 minutes times 12, so 36, in addition to any other speakers that will chime in. So colleagues, any interest to reduce the time? If not, we'll get going with the speaking. Okay, I hear none. So then let's open it up to the speakers that are on the list. 3 minutes. Lupe, can you go ahead and conduct the list? I will, if you can read a couple names ahead so they can prep, and then we'll move through. Yes, they're on various items, so you can announce which items they'll be speaking towards.
Yes, sir. So the first one is.
And I will say this for the speakers. 3 minutes is the limit because we're trying to be fair with everyone. You don't have to speak for 3 minutes. If you want to say what you want to say in 1 minute, it's completely your right. But this is the process we have here, and we just want to try to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak to us. So we'll kick off with 3, and Lupe gets started, and then we'll go through the speakers in their order as submitted to you.
Perfect. So first one is East 1, theater major student, art student. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. This is in regards to consent calendar item N, multiple underneath that. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but many of this doesn't apply specifically to ELAC, but I am a non-traditional student. Most of the theater courses in the district are actually not transferable to the universities. And I would know because when I checked all the classes, their theater classes are transferable to CSULA. They won't accept any of them. So it makes me think they'll have to retake all of the classes that I took at in the district. And I'm like, that just seems really, really unreasonable. And I think it's just because the universities want our money. So I really think you need to take a look at that, because what's the point of taking all of these classes if you have to just retake all of them at the university? And I'm talking about the major classes, not the GE. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ruben Villanueva. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board and everyone here today. I'm Ruben Villanueva, classified staff member from LA Southwest College. I come before you today to implore you to please reconsider your re-engagement and return to work directives, as it is too soon for all of us to safely return to our campuses to work and learn. This pandemic has spread beyond the realm of public health to become a politically and economically charged issue, the latter of which has pressured the state and federal government to issue reopening guidelines when we have not yet reached herd immunity. With national vaccination rates plateauing to vaccination hesitancy, it is premature to declare this pandemic over, and we leave ourselves vulnerable to experiencing a yo-yo effect and restrictions. If we should learn anything from the stalled return to work MOU negotiations between the district and some of the bargaining units, is that it is clearly indicative that many do not feel safe returning to on-campus operations, and more time is needed to address these concerns. Other colleges, such as those in the OC, are planning a return, but on a much smaller scale, with on-campus operations resuming in fall, not summer, and class capacity at 15%. Let us not play with people's lives and foster the guinea pig sentiment among the groups that we work with and serve. I, like everyone else, yearn to return to normalcy, but not at the risk to myself, the faculty, staff, and the students we serve. Thank you for your time.
I saw your general counsel up, so I'm assuming he's got something in terms of the rule process here. So General Counsel, can you jump in real quick?
And thank you, Chair Vettis. Not to the content of the speaker, but I would ask all speakers that they identify the agenda item that they are speaking to. Again, there are 2 portions of public comment. There is a public comment where you're speaking to an agendized item, and there is public comment where the item is not on the agenda, and that is a separate. So again, I would just ask that the speakers identify the agenda item that they're speaking to for this portion of public comment.
Thank you, General Counsel.
Okay, I'm going to read out 3 names at a time so they can get ready to speak. The 3 that I'm calling out are an L4, approve reimbursement stipend for COVID-19 related expenses for confidential classified management, student employees, and unclassified. Ms. Jessica Pierce, Ms. Kaylee Morrissey, and Galen Shirazan. So Jessica Pierce, please.
Hi, can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jessica Pierce. I'm a student at East Los Angeles College. I'm a single mother with 2 children under the age of 16 and 1 on the way. I'm a Pathways to Law School student working towards achieving a degree in political science and administrative justice law with an emphasis in forensics. I'm also part of the DSPS program at East Los Angeles College, which I have learning disabilities and a physical disability that I was born with. That's why it's important to me to get back to school as soon as possible because of the type of learner I am. I'm a hands-on learner. I collaborate with others, and that's where I get the majority of my learning from. But when I heard that ELAC was going to be reopening, I was worried, anxious for my 3 children. Unfortunately, my 2 children are not allowed to get vaccinated because they are under the age of 16. Also, due to the fact that I have 2 pre-existing conditions now, my doctor has recommended that I do not get vaccinated while being pregnant. It does make me nervous, and I'm scared to return back to school for the simple fact that someone like myself with 2 pre-existing conditions at the moment and having a family to financially provide for. How do you plan to keep someone like myself safe and out of harm's way from contracting COVID-19? Will there be proper ventilations? Will there be proper cleanliness and social distancing? The last thing that I would want is to become a carrier or worse, have symptoms where I am not able to financially provide for my children and me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you all.
Thank you. Jessica Pierce.
She just went, Lupe.
Okay. Christine Cole.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christine Coe, and I'm a student attending Los Angeles City College and an AFT 1521 intern. I'm here advocating for our classes to remain online. Schools shouldn't be opening without adequate safety guards, and to be frank, I haven't seen any plans being enacted within my college, which worries me, and it makes me not want to go back onto campus. Myself and many of my peers would prefer to continue learning online. It only takes one person to spread the virus and to an entire college, and we have already seen precedents of this happening in other areas. Take Israel, for example. Many of their schools closed due to COVID outbreaks only 2 weeks after the country fully reopened classrooms. Districts in Georgia and Mississippi also experienced similar scenarios when they started school in August. Health and safety guidelines can only go so far, and it won't stop people from taking off their masks in the middle of class. It won't prevent asymptomatic carriers from going onto campus, and ultimately it won't stop the spread. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope you hear the students and faculty's concerns on this topic today. And I want to give a special thank you to Trustee Hoffman for constantly advocating for the student voices to be heard during the meetings.
Kylie Morrissey.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Morrissey, and I'm a student at Los Angeles Pierce College. First, I would like to start off by saying that I appreciate the concern for our health and safety being addressed in written communication. However, we must make sure that these words are further translated into action. I've only spent 1 full in-person semester at Pierce, but when I did, I noticed that the bathrooms were often dirty. There were also multiple times where I would go into the bathroom stall and no toilet seat liners were provided. A new surge in COVID is prone to occur throughout our campus, especially when nearly 20,000 students are attending Pierce and vaccination isn't mandated for attendance. A new COVID surge would force students to return to online learning once again. Like many other students, online learning has been beyond taxing for me. Not only am I less engaged in the material itself, but I'm also teaching myself the curriculum amid noise distractions within my own. With all of this in mind, I haven't heard much about specific plans for reopening, and I would like to know more about the district-specific plans of maintaining cleanliness to prevent another return to online learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Next two speakers are on Y3, acceptance of completion of construction contracts, replace condenser unit project at East Los Angeles College. Mr. Ellen Coulson, and also Kathy Kupai. Kathy, you can go since you're already online. Thank you.
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Kathy Kupai. I'm an adjunct professor at East Los Angeles College. I've been teaching there since 2007. I'm also a member of AFT 1521 and a CAP member team. I'm a mother to a toddler and I live in a multi-generational household. I like to joke that I have two babies, an 82-year-old and a 2-year-old. My son turned 1 right before we began teaching remotely in March of last year. And some of you may recall me speaking last year at a BOT meeting where I mentioned I had $300,000 in medical bills after he was born. Thankfully, I do have health care through the LACCD. So I was left with about $20,000 in bills after, applying the health benefits through ELAC and the LACCD. So thank you all very much for that. And I only have about $300 left to pay on all of those bills. In any case, the whole experience was very costly and very stressful for me. And I just bring all of those things up to mention I have a young child who had medical issues, and I have elderly family members in my household who also have medical issues. And this relates to the plan to return to campus. As faculty, we appreciate the district's work and words on COVID-19. We truly look forward to returning when the best measures for health and cleanliness have actually been implemented in a safe and methodical manner. We don't want to risk the health of students, faculty, staff, and their age of 6. We have been
I believe you're pausing. Hello?
It looks like her video's frozen.
Okay. We'll move on to Mr. Alan Coulson, same topic.
Can you hear me?
We lost you for a moment. Go ahead, you have 40 seconds.
Okay, yeah, just to mention that parents of young children have been caught in a childcare catch-22 for over a year now with limited childcare options. And we've had to quarantine our children. We really haven't had that many options with regard to childcare. So just to sum up, I just wanted to say that for students, faculty, and staff, safety and health first for all of us, affordable childcare and healthcare for all of us. Thank you guys so much. And sorry for my connection.
Mr. Alan Coulson, you're next.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Ni hao, magandang hapon sa inyo. Good afternoon, trustees, chancellor, and the LACCD community, and a very happy API Heritage Month. My name is Alan Coulson, and I'm the Work Environment Chair from East LA College. I wanted to share with you my experience as WEC Chair these past 2 years, and more importantly, during the COVID-19 pandemic. We are looking forward to the day we can get back to our respective campus with our dear students, but in a safe, healthy, and clean environment. We agree that faculty staff should have the ability to return to campus when it is safe to do so. We strongly agree and encourage the campus community to get their vaccine, also to have their loved ones do so as well. We strongly encourage the ability to allow faculty staff to continue to work from home, especially if he or she lives with a person in the household who is immunocompromised. We strongly encourage the leadership at both campus levels to provide safeguards for faculty staff by ensuring that our facilities and custodial staff are fully trained and prepared to sanitize the classrooms, office spaces, the library, student services, and communal spaces, among others. Let me share with you a story from one of our WEC members. This past January 2021, the faculty member's father-in-law was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. This was a big blow to their family since many families throughout the world saw 2021 as a year of the ox, which meant stability, consistency, and strength, and hopefully an end to COVID-19. The faculty member and his partner faced many challenges ahead, such as selling their house to move in with their in-laws to provide 24-hour support for his father-in-law. The faculty member did not know whether his kid's school would remain distant learning or would reopen. This faculty member also had to continually refresh the myturn.ca.gov website to get a vaccination appointment. All in all, it was not stable or consistent, but the faculty member had strength. He had the strength to convert his in-law's living room into a makeshift hospital ward for his father-in-law to stay in. He had the strength to learn what a TPN tube is used for and how to administer potassium, electrolytes, and insulin. He had the strength to help his partner and mother-in-law take care of his father-in-law while teaching synchronous Zoom classes throughout the week. He had the strength to continue with committee work, attend department meetings, participate in events sponsored by his department and PD, professional development. However, he is not strong to tell his dean that he has second thoughts of returning back to campus. He feels pressured, but more scared. Not because he's a bad instructor or a bad colleague. No, scared because he is living with a household member who is immunocompromised and does not want to take the
Your time's up. Thank you.
father-in-law. Thank you.
Next one is Gayan Shirazan, an L4, approve reimbursement stipend for COVID-19 related expenses for confidential classified management, student and employees unclassified. 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gayane Shirazian, and I'm a student at Pierce College and an intern for AFT 1521 Faculty Union. I want to thank you all for giving me the time to speak to you today, and I wanted to bring up some concerns from our community and help advocate for our students and staff. We appreciate the measures you have created thus far to protect the health and safety of our community in planning to reopen the campus in the fall. However, there are still a lot of issues that we believe are not addressed. We need to be certain that there is a plan of action and not just these false promises to help alleviate some of the apprehension we are feeling as a community. As someone who lives with high-risk people, I want to be certain that I'm not putting their lives in jeopardy just because campus is opening prematurely. This doesn't mean that I don't want campus to open up again, since quarantine has made it so difficult for me to get a good learning experience from home. However, if we are not assured of the cleanliness and safety of campus, focusing on our academics will be just as hard in person. Social distancing, smaller classrooms, and increased cleaning of the campus, which means adding more custodial staff, are all things we will hold you accountable to this fall. People's health and safety needs to be the #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, different topic. It's Dr. Jessica St. Paul, N3, approved 2021-26 Strategic Educational Master Plan and Mission Statement for Los Angeles Southwest College. Dr. Jessica St. Paul, 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Jessica St. Paul, adjunct faculty at Los Angeles Southwest College and adjunct faculty issues committee chair for Los Angeles College Faculty Guild AFT 1521. As a licensed physician assistant and public health practitioner, I took an oath to do no harm. When we migrated to remote operations and distance education to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, our communities and the world faced death at unimaginable numbers. We did lose some of our LACCD families, but despite this, our colleges stood in solidarity to make sure we continue to protect our students and surrounding communities. Our scientists have been working around the clock, and our faculty members have continued to educate our students and provide academic and non-academic supports during this COVID-19 pandemic. Southwest College is my home college. I understand the HERF was not allocated by this board or by the district. However, questions of funding allocation aside, the truth is we cannot ignore that we deserve to be safe. We want to return on campus. Our students, faculty, classified, and confidential staff deserve to be as safe at our smaller and less resourced college as LASC, as our fellow large and well-resourced colleges. As our country, state, and cities promote COVID-19 vaccines for all, emergency use authorization hinders mandates for vaccines for employees and students. But that is still not enough. We had work environment concerns prior to COVID-19. Several years ago, we went through arbitration, which directed the district to address these concerns. You can understand why we are concerned this may not actually happen. But to ensure a safe return, our colleges must do more than to just rely on hygiene practices, face masks, and social distancing. There are consistent safety precautions and preventative measures that we must put in place. Our colleges must evaluate our buildings for hazards that are associated with prolonged facility shutdowns and take action prior to return to college. There are no alternatives for ensuring health and safety. Our working conditions are our student learning conditions. Thank you for putting health and safety first in words and in action. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Jeff Hicks, Y1, approve an addendum to the Los Angeles City College Facilities Master Plan Environmental Impact Report and approve the 2021 Los Angeles City College Facilities Master Plan Update. Mr. Jeff Hicks, thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank President Veras and thank the board for letting me speak. And I also want to thank the district for meeting with AFT 21 to discuss re-engagement. My name is Jeff Hicks. I'm a full-time faculty member at LA City College. I'm also a CAT lead for AFT 1521. And here's the thing. I'm here today because I'm afraid. Our students and their families in the areas around our colleges are not getting vaccinated at the same rates as some of we are. And students of color, people of color in our city are more at risk of contracting COVID and contracting COVID-related symptoms. COVID hits people of color harder, and those are our students. Personally, I'm a type 1 diabetic. And at one point during the disease, I was told that I had a 30% chance of dying if I contracted COVID. We need to make sure that when we return to campus, we have to return safely for our students, their families, and for our faculty, or we could die. We need working air conditioning and clear ventilation on our campuses. We need sanitized surfaces. We need vaccination, testing, and tracing. And here's the thing, I'm worried about the district following through on its promises. I've worked at LA City College for 5 years, and we have never had a season where our air conditioning worked. Never. I've worked in classrooms where it got up to 100 degrees, and now we're asking our air conditioners to work even harder to push the air through the air filters. The windows in the room where I teach do not open. We've also had problems trying to get custodial staff at full strength. And every single one of our campuses have had cleanliness issues over the years.
Mr. Hicks, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to hold. I know the general counsel wanted to make a comment. We're trying to be respectful to everybody in the rule process. We do have agenda items here, and we do have general comment a little later.
I appreciate that, but keep in mind you're interrupting me in the middle of my.
Well, I will, Mr. Hicks, I will be the one that will interrupt you.
Time.
I will be the one that will interrupt you, and I will defer to the board president. Again, I am asking people, and we're just following the rules that apply to everyone. If in fact you are speaking to an agenda item, this is the time to do such. I believe the agenda item that you were talking about was a master plan and stipends. There is an item and there is a portion when people want to make comments that relate to items that are not on the agenda. So again, that is my role to make sure that this is clearly stated. We are asking people to speak to items on the agenda. And I'm going to say what I said in the beginning. That is for this particular portion. So again, with all due respect, that is what is agendized on this board. That is the expectation that the board has, and frankly, the public, and especially those public members that are waiting to the end of the meeting to speak on items that are not on the agenda. So I just put that as a point of order.
Okay.
So Mr. Hicks, if you don't have any items on, or you don't have anything to speak on the items,
issue Y1 is about an
Okay.
adjustment to the master plan regarding the Cesar Chavez building.
Okay.
And I will say this, the current Cesar Chavez building does not have working air conditioning. The people in that building uses in-window air conditioning. The administrators that work within that building will tell you each and every day that it is hard to get clear ventilation. The new Cesar Chavez building will not allow our current one chiller air conditioning system on our campus to work. And I've seen no plans that suggest that our current air conditioning system will be able to tolerate a new building.
Okay.
When we go back on campus, we need to make sure that we
Mr.
are
Hicks,
prepared
time's
for
up.
all of the adjustments
Thank
that
you.
the district is suggesting.
Okay. Thank
I
you,
can
Mr.
bring
Hicks.
this back around. That's fine.
Time's up.
Sir, I'll let you know that if you also want to speak to the other items, you can do it at the end of the agenda too. So thank you for that. Trustee Hoffman, do you have a point of clarification?
Just have a point of clarification. I just want to remind everybody, and thank you, Professor Hicks, for your comments. You know, I think we were all at the DACA barbecue with no air conditioning one year. So Chancellor, that's a good point. So if we can follow up, I know it's not an exact agenda item, but if we can follow up and make sure that our air conditioning is working, I think that's a great point. Thank you.
I was thinking of that exactly, Trustee.
Yeah, well, it wasn't in the same building he referenced, but I understand your point, Trustee Hoffman. So thank you. Any other speakers?
Yes, I have two more, and then I have two that sent an email late. The two are on the same topic. To students, approve new credit courses. Ernesto Ayala, former district student, and then Jenny Vasquez. So please, you have 3 minutes. Okay, it looks like they're not there. We'll go on to the two added items. One is Cassandra on HH, approve dismissal of academic employee. Cassandra, you have 3 minutes, and same as Evelyn, same topic. Thank you. Cassandra, you can unmute yourself. Okay, Jenny, I see Jenny's there. Unmute yourself, Jenny, if you'd like to speak on the item. Who's on? Come on.
We do have Ernesto Ayala with the mic ready.
Okay. Thank you, Ernesto. Go ahead, 3 minutes.
Hello, yes, I would just like to. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm a former student at Los Angeles Mission College. I just wanted to speak on the importance of that we support having the name for Chicana studies added to the department, and that we think it's very important that there's more Chicanas, more mujeres to be working in that department, because part of our community that's not being acknowledged for the struggle. I mean, as a matter of fact, the whole building there is named after Guadalupe Ramirez, who was a Chicana. So I think it just makes sense that we give space to our sisters to be included in this process that we're a part of in our community. So that's all. We would like to have more Chicana studies profesoras.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Ayala.
Thank you. Next one is Jenny Vasquez on same item, N1. Jenny, you can unmute yourself. Jenny? She's on, but she's muted. Okay, we'll go to HH1, dismissal of academic employee. Evelyn, are you on? Unmute yourself.
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, you got 3 minutes.
Okay, so I'm here talking on behalf of Dr. Miguel Coronado. So I met Dr. Miguel Coronado in 2016 when I was actually joining the EOPNS program at Los Angeles City College. And I actually met him at an orientation, and soon quickly after that, I was involved in the program helping Dr. Coronado with many tasks and for several years. So when I first started at Los Angeles City College, I was completely lost and had no clue of what I was doing or what route I was going to take. But Dr. Miguel Coronado had a huge impact in my life, and he helped me find my path and was always encouraging and inspiring. And my grades actually took a big turn, and my transcripts can speak for themselves. Also, over the years, I worked really close with Dr. Miguel Coronado as an intern and was always by his side along with other students as well. I was involved helping Dr. Miguel Coronado with all his students, and never did we have a complaint. And in fact, we also have a lot of students that always wanted to be involved and around Dr. Miguel Coronado. And for the program, we did a lot of things. For example, we worked on recruiting students, retaining them, and helping them transfer out and obtain their associate's degree. There was also various events that we worked on to keep students involved in the program, such as workshops, award ceremonies. Along with all these events, Dr. Miguel Coronado was always reassuring his students that they were able to do anything they wanted and also push them when they didn't believe in themselves. Dr. Miguel is an inspiration to a lot of his students, including myself. He shared his personal life story with a lot of students, and a lot of students were able to relate and feel motivated. To a lot of his students, he was a father figure or like a big brother who always pushed them and was always available when they needed to talk. So over the years, Dr. Miguel Coronado has contributed a lot to the program and has changed a lot of students' lives, including myself. Today, I am currently waiting on my graduation in 2 weeks from California State University, Northridge, where I will receive my bachelor's degree in psychology. And I have also applied to a master's program. I am so thankful and grateful that Dr. Miguel Coronado was there to help change my life around, because if it was not for him, I wouldn't have believed in myself and gone this far in my education. I am not the only student who he has helped change their lives around for the better, and I am here to support Dr. Miguel Coronado, a great person who has changed a lot of people's lives and who inspires people even when they don't believe in themselves.
Thank you.
Yes, can I be next? Sorry.
Is this Cassandra?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, please. 3 minutes.
Okay, so I'm here to talk for Dr. Miguel Coronado. I first met Dr. Miguel Coronado in the spring of 2017 when I walked into his office for EOPS. And as a farmer's first foster youth student, I was happy to learn that Dr. Coronado was also a former foster youth. I'm so sorry that I hope you guys can hear me. It's just that this is very sad that he's going through this, and I can really I feel really sorry for him. And I'm like really crying and everything. So I'm sorry, hopefully you guys can hear me. As I work for him too, with this revelation allowed me to trust that Dr. Coronado. Immediately, he was kind, empathetic, compassionate, and caring. He made me feel really comfortable and safe. So these false allegations that they're accusing him of, it's really just heartbroken. It was amazing to me that Dr. Coronado always had the correct words to uplift me, and not just myself, but everybody else that met him, especially since I was just 22 years old at that time as a single mother. I was not sure what I wanted to study, but when I walked into his office, he exactly explained me what classes I needed to just go ahead and complete my degree at LACC. Not only that, but during this time, I worked with Adriana and Ashley, and everything went well at first, but then I kept noticing that Adriana was just being really disrespectful and rude and defiant and argumentative towards him, and not just towards Dr. Coronado, but also myself and Ashley. Every time Dr. Coronado asked Adriana to do something in support of the student in the next program, she immediately had an excuse as to why she could not do what she was asked to do. Adriana was very difficult to work with, even though Dr. Miguel Coronado was very kind and just patient with us. For example, she was always complaining and making excuses out of why she was not able to complete a task. As the days went by, Adriana became worse in her behavior and disrespected Dr. Miguel Coronado by yelling at him in front of the students at the office. But like I said, Dr. Coronado was always patient and kind, and nevertheless, it was Veronica Garcia and Jonathan Elias who navigated students to follow.
I'm sorry, Cassandra, your 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it for the list. Jenny sent me a text that she will not be able to address the board at this time. So we're done with the public agenda items. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move to reports from the board. If I can kick it off with asking Trustee Vela to summarize the proceedings of the Budget and Finance Committee that you chaired on April 21st.
Thank you, President Vettis. Really appreciate that, and appreciate the public comment from all the speakers. So, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about essentially one of the things that was brought up today, and it's really important, and that's the HERF allocations at LACCD. I'm going to go ahead and let the public know that we did receive at least the first two allocations of HERF 1 and HERF 2. You know, we're about to receive HERF 3 allocations. I want to go ahead and go through with this federal money. You saw that the student portion was very sizable. What you got basically with all three combined HERF allocations at LACD College, you got 18 million. At ELAC, 38 million. Harbor, 9 million. Mission College, 10 million. Pierce College, 24 million. Southwest, 8 million. Trade Tech, 18 million. And then Valley College, 21 million. And actually West LA College, also 8 million. This is a full student allocation of HERF funds. This money went directly to students to help them during the pandemic. On the institutional portion side, we saw, again, very similar numbers to some of the colleges in similar size. At LA City College for the institution, you got 24 million at LA City College, 52 million at ELAC, Harbor 12 million, Mission College 13 million, Pierce College 32 million, Southwest College 11 million, Trade Tech 25 million, Valley College 27, and then West LA College 10 million. So when you look at the overall allotments, they're very fair. They are, you know, analogous, and they are corresponding to our student population. And I'm very happy that each of the institutions really committed to the students. And we did have, I think, a lot of support from the federal government, our advocates. I want to thank staff in particular for fighting hard to ensure that the money was brought forward to our community college system. And, you know, I know that there's been, I think, some talk that some of the schools did not receive her funds, but indeed they did, they will. They are currently working together with our staff to prioritize those dollars in order for all of our students to be whole. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Next, if I can ask Trustee Fong to summarize the proceedings of the Legislative Public Affairs Committee.
Thank you so much, President Bettis, and good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you so much to my colleagues, Trustees Hoffman and Bella, for a robust Legislative and Public Affairs Committee. At the committee meeting, we discussed a number of items, including a recommendation item on SB 693, which is authored by Senator Henry Stern on genocide education. We heard the bill, got the language on it, and we have taken a position to support the Senate Bill 693. I want to thank my colleague, Trustee Hoffman, for her leadership and efforts in bringing that forward. Secondly, we also received an update on the proposals for ethics studies. Thank you to the Chancellor and to everyone for your leadership and efforts on ethics studies, to our colleagues, to the board, to everyone as we continue to push and advance ethics studies initiative, AB 1040. Some of the budget requests that we're asking for is right now we're asking for a big ask on the ethics studies piece, but we're looking forward to a robust discussion as we go forward. As currently proposed, 600,000 would go to community colleges to support implementation of AB 1460, which is authored by Shirley Weber on system-wide anti-racism activities, $5 million for professional development. So that's 7.6 million for the ethics studies across the state, but we have a $50 million budget ask, and this is something we'll continue to fight for and to continue to push. Similar Bill 1040, authored by Senator Elmer Suchi, which would require ethics studies courses to be offered at each community college. It requires also development of Title V regulations to implement this requirement. It would also look at streamlined and expedited course approval process. So those are some of the things that we're working on right now at the state level. We also received a federal update report on President Biden's American Jobs Plan. And we're looking at different, the jobs plan would request $2 trillion over 8 years to modernize the nation's infrastructure. And this is something that we'll probably go through the reconciliation process. We've also been tracking this very closely, and our district is very engaged in this process. Also been tracking the nomination for Julie Hsu, who is from Los Angeles. Many of you may know her. She worked in LA for many years and currently serves as the governor's workforce development and labor secretary. She's the administration's pick for second in command for the Department of Labor and has been advanced out of the Senate Health, Education, and Labor Committee. So we'll keep everyone posted on that process. Our district also sent a letter of support for her. We also received updates from Resolute and looking at broadband access as we continue to bridge the divide in digital access and continue to fight that fight. I want to thank my colleagues for a robust discussion on the AB 14, which is Aguilar Curry's bill on broadband services, which will prioritize the deployment of broadband infrastructure in California's most vulnerable underserved communities, including set-asides for community colleges to compete for these funds. And we have a support position on AB 14. Secondly, we also heard SB 4, authored by Senator Lena Gonzalez, which would increase broadband services for unserved and high poverty areas. We have adopted a supportive amendment position if the bill also specifically mentions community colleges. So we'll continue to track this bill, and we hope that AB 14 and SB 4 are opportunities for us to engage and provide more access for our community college students going forward. And also AB 34, which is the Broadband for All Act of the summer of 2022. This bill will authorize this to be placed before the voters in the November 2022 ballot, seeking authorization of $10 billion from general obligation bonds for grants to eligible entities for projects that would deploy broadband infrastructure and broadband internet access services. We're also tracking the AB 339 on open government meetings and opportunity for members of the public to attend via teleconference. We know that this hybrid, this model and this day and age that we're in right now with virtual meetings is probably here to stay. So how we continue to track the legislation as we come out of the COVID pandemic. Also, Mr. Mark McDonough provided an update on the state budget. We know the May revise is coming down in a couple of weeks, and we'll be tracking this very closely. Our legislative budget committees, and we'll be tracking it also to look at different opportunities for additional requests. And I know the Chancellor and our team and trustees are very keen on focus on these efforts. On the Senate budget priorities, there's also looking at improved Cal Grant opportunities, providing full tuition award for Cal Grant B students. Also looking at expanding student success and completion grants and maximizing flexible spending for our community colleges. So those are some of the state updates. At the local level, we also had, as was referenced earlier by Trustee Vela, the LA Metro Fairless System Initiative at LACCD. This would be an initiative that would provide free fairless system transit for community college students throughout the county. But really, LACCD has been leading the efforts on this. And we have a Metro board meeting coming up in May that I know our student trustee has been advocating for as well. So thank you, Trustee Elias Geronimo, to the Chancellor, to all our advocates, specifically Robert Urtiaga and Santa Maria Group, and all our advocates for all their leadership and efforts around the Fairless System Initiative, and to my colleagues, Trustee Vela for his leadership, and all my colleagues for their leadership on this. We also received a report from Mr. John Eck on the local advocacy efforts and have met recently with some of the County Board of Supervisors, including Supervisors Mitchell and Barger. And those are really productive meetings on looking at assistance and earmark applications on the Metro Fairless program, and really looking at different opportunities at the county level. And then Ms. Velos also provided a report back on our legislative priorities. And thank you to all our constituent groups for all your leadership and efforts and providing feedback on those efforts as well. And lastly, we've been pushing hard on congressional community project funding updates. And these are congressional called earmarks. We're pushing hard on these initiatives, and we're continuing to fight for additional resources for our students. So thank you so much again to my colleagues, Trustees Vela and Hoffman, for a robust meeting, and to Chancellor Ms. Wallace and to our entire team. Continue to push for additional resources for our students, and hope everyone's doing.
Okay, so I'm taking over for a bit as Trustee Vettis is away for a second, but I am in competition with Trustee Fong for giving a detailed report, Trustee Fong, because I'm not sure you get more detail than that. So I'm going to move on to IESS, and I want to thank Trustee Henderson and Trustee Fong I think both of you agree that in ISS, not 1 second was wasted in this last meeting. So I'm going to go over that meeting in detail. And Trustee Henderson and Fong, if I missed something, please let me know. So we went through a lot, colleagues. So we went over the Strategic Education Master Plan and Mission Statement for LA Mission College. The committee was presented with the revised mission and education master plan for LA Southwest. The plan was created and approved by college governance groups and included goals and metrics aligned with the state vision for success and district strategic plan. Trustees engage in collective dialogue on the ways in which the plan will move the college forward in the areas of access, success, and equity. The committee endorsed the plan for approval by the board, and the plan is on the May board agenda, i.e. today. Collaboration with LACCD and UCLA Labor Center. We had a newly tenured faculty, Chen and Galvez, make a presentation. The faculty of Dolores Huerta Institute presented findings from the report developed in partnership with the UCLA Labor Center. They highlighted the role of LACCD students and faculty in developing the report, the opportunity for further research and partnership, and the reality that a larger number of LACCD students work and go to school. That's the reality. The research noted the impact of student employment and changes resulting from COVID. Dolores Huerta Institute noted that LACCD students appreciated the opportunity to learn research methods and participate. And I'll add as well to that in terms of that's going to be important for as they move into either their four-year or graduate level institutions. Student housing at LA Harbor College. LA Harbor College interim president, Dr. Dorado, presented a housing initiative near the college. Yes, not at LACCD yet. And Mr. Dorado was excited to discuss student housing related to our LACCD students. The Tiny Home Village is part of the Bridge Home program that launched three years ago with Mayor Garcetti. The village is not a shelter type environment and is an interim solution to a permanent step for residents. The village currently has 75 tiny homes for a single person or a couple with 25 slots held for, and 25 slots are held for LA Harbor College students on a referral basis. Information Technology Board policy reformatting. Although this section does not seem like one of the most exciting ones, I think it actually is because of the effect of IT policy and everything that we're doing. So it's important for the board to know that the ISS committee is looking at that. Vice Chancellor Litz presented Board Policy 3720, which defines appropriate use of district computers, networks, and enterprise systems. The policy is fitting with the new CCLC model board policies as part of the district-wide reformatting effort. The board accepted the recommendation and the board policy is placed on the agenda for board review. Enrollment update. Spring is currently at 90% for head count and 85% for enrollment. Summer enrollment has begun and there will be a report at the new ISS on those enrollment trends. The LACCD re-engagement grid has been updated to account for less restrictive state and county guidelines. Fall 2021 priority registration is planned for 5/24/21 and open enrollment is scheduled for 6/18/21. That's May 24th. And open enrollment scheduled for June 18th. Ethnic studies. We went very quickly, but we covered a lot. The district currently offers courses in Chicano and Chicano studies. Note the duality of Chicano and Chicano studies. Black African American studies and Asian American Pacific Islander studies, generally described together as ethnic studies, but different departments or programs. But recognizing that each is its own discipline. Very, very important for us to understand that. Moving forward, especially in light of AB 1456 and potentially AB 1040 and anticipated changes to Title V, there is a need to develop courses in Native American studies and the other ethnic studies disciplines because LACCD has 0 courses in Native American studies. Not all colleges offer all disciplines and some have no course offerings. The colleges have submitted their courses for approval by the CSU for the Area F ethnic studies requirements. The district has begun to create an LGBTQ+ and Native American studies subjects, and colleges are beginning to adopt existing district courses in African American and Chicano studies. The district has committed to provide academic curriculum development grants to allow discipline experts within and outside of LACCD to assist colleges in adopting new disciplines and courses, focusing on the colleges without faculty in Chicano studies, Black African American studies, and Asian Pacific Islander studies areas. For 2021-22, the district will explore, again, for 21-22, the district will explore staffing of additional sections throughout the 9 colleges to build capacity and student demand and provide immediate access with the goal to serve more than 3,500 additional students per year. Documentation of projected student demand will be provided to the colleges to support the faculty hiring prioritization process and rationale for additional full-time hiring requests for fall 2022. The district will continue to advocate and support the community college ethnic studies graduation requirement, AB 1040 and ASCCC. LACCD discipline experts in Chicano studies, African American Black studies, Asian American Pacific Islander, and Central American studies spoke to the need for growth in curriculum access across the district, expansion of existing disciplines, increases in faculty disciplines, and working towards ensuring that ethnic study disciplines are organized in department structures, very important here, department structures that support their growth and development and sustainability. The IESS committee thanked the participants, noted its support for ethnic studies and narratives voiced throughout the well-informed ethnic studies faculty members. I will also add that the committee unanimously voted non-binding to support what was presented with regard to the growth, implementation, and the support of ethnic studies curriculum, including the immediate hiring of full-time and hopefully tenure track positions immediately. Committee members, did I miss anything in that presentation?
It was a great report. Thank you so much.
Okay, Trustee Henderson, did I miss anything?
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay, thank you. I'll add that in the DACA committee, we had a good presentation. We had Congressman Ted Lieu present. We seem to always have superstars in our DACA committees. I have to give Maria and Chancellor credit for that. We had great participation. And at this point, we're just tracking immigration reform, see where we're at. I believe we're down to around 5,000 undocumented students in the district. Prior to President 45, I believe we were at 10,000. So we've got a lot of work to do. And Mr. President, I reported in detail on IESS and DACA.
Okay, thank you. I heard the comment hit the nail on the head. I think you had enough nails to build a house here. So
yeah, we were super busy. We didn't miss a minute in IESS.
Excellent. No, I appreciate the report. Thank you. Next, Trustee Henderson, can you summarize the proceedings of the Chancellor's Advisory Committee on Black African American Student Affairs that you chaired on the 29th?
Yes, thank you, President Ferris. I don't know how I can pass or I'll do that report, but I will try my best. Good afternoon, everyone. The Chancellor's Advisory Committee for Black and African American Student Affairs met on Thursday, April 29th. We thank Trustee Andrew Hoffman for joining us. I reported to this body at our last board meeting that Dr. Michael Hopper proposed a motion for the institutionalization of African American student success programs throughout LACCD. At the advisory committee's March 25th meeting, the item was tabled and it was voted for to be adopted unanimously at our April 29th meeting. At this meeting, Chancellor Rodriguez provided several updates. One on the return to campus in accordance with county health policy and our district reentry plans. And he encouraged our advisory committee members to complete the campus safety assessment survey, and also provided a status on the ethnic studies bill, in addition to a summary of the work group that was created regarding Black faculty and staff hiring. I mentioned this group for the past 2 meetings. This work group was established to look at the current hiring policies and practices within our district and on our colleges through the lens of anti-racist and anti-racism and social justice. The AAOI coordinator, Dr. Nairi Berry, provided an update on the AAOI 2021-2022 academic year plan for program orientation, expansion of HBCU partnerships, as well as increasing the number of student ambassadors in the program. The Black graduation co-chair, Nicole Flores, reported that this graduation, the class of 2021, will be recognizing 400 Black graduates, which is the highest number of record since the very first commencement ceremony. So that is wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and a great starting point for moving forward. And last but not least, we had a fantastic presentation by Dr. Luke Wood, who is a distinguished professor and at San Diego State University and a vice president of student affairs and campus diversity. He spoke about several topics, and 3 which spoke to me were the 3D effect, which is distrust, disdain, and disregard. And he discussed them as they pertain to Black students and faculty. Triggers and trauma in regard to defining race lighting, which is similar to gaslighting, but racial. And what most of our Black stakeholders in LACCD could relate to was the physiological and psychological symptoms of race battle fatigue. We are tired, you guys. We are very, very tired. What we're finding and what we all of our Black stakeholders understand and hope that others learn to appreciate is that we experience microaggressions, we experience stress, we deal with systemic trauma, and we deal with it on a daily basis throughout every day. And we are tired, in addition to dealing with the other issues that we deal with in our work. So in the spaces that we live, work, and learn, we're just feeling an additional burden that many don't understand or appreciate. And I hope that as we move forward and we start to address the systemic racism in our district, in this country, that we start to just look at each other, literally look at one another through the lens of compassion and understanding so that we can move forward. And so I will not preach. So in closing, the next meeting of the Chancellor's Advisory Committee for Black and African American Student Affairs will be Thursday, March 27th at 10 a.m. And President Veras, so ends my report. Thank you so much.
You know what? That gave him a run for his money. So thank you. And I believe that concludes all of our board reports. Student trustee, did we have any with our student affairs?
Yes, well, actually, we met before our previous meeting, and I already reported on that on the previous meeting, but I just have an update or a heads up on what's happening on our next SAC meeting, which will be on May 14th. And we will have a campaign for college opportunity presenting both AB 928 and AB 1456 to the students. And we will also be, after the meeting, we will know who the next student trustee will be, whether Coraima or Arjan, one of those great students, will be our next student trustee.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the quick update there, appreciate it. Okay, sounds good. So then we'll conclude the reports here. We'll move on to the report for the Chancellor. I did, Chancellor, and perhaps I know we were also going to have Y1 brought up here in this committee. I didn't want to go without making a couple of comments, just for the sake of a few of the public comments related to the in-person re-engagement. There was a few that had mentioned summer. Summer is not on the table for LACCD. This is a conversation about fall.
That is correct.
And I also wanted to note, especially those of us that have children in the public school system, that obviously our sister, institution and the 13 public school districts underneath us, plus the charters that are within the corridor, have, I believe, at last report, I'd heard all levels of public schools have entered into either an in-person or a hybrid scenario, which we're watching and monitoring very closely. And of course, I think part of your mention in the past is the County of Los Angeles today announced that we were going to be, as of tomorrow at noon, I believe it's noon or tomorrow, that the County of Los Angeles is now in yellow status. And so
yellow tier.
I encourage everybody connected to LACCD that is eligible for vaccination to definitely take it, and it is available. There is plenty of walk-ups now. Appointments have been sort of moved to the side because walk-up availability is there. So just a couple of mentions. These are all things we're watching very closely. We care about deeply, and from the Chancellor and your team, and of course at the trustee level, we're all having very intense and detailed dialogue about these things. So Chancellor, if you, in part of your report, I know I just wanted to not, we don't typically engage back and forth in public comments, but I think from the general standpoint, to at least acknowledge and understand this is very serious. We do take it very serious. And we're moving forward with health and safety as our top priority. So with that, Chancellor, let me hand it over to you for your report and to include Y1 as part of your conversation here and presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Vettis, and members of the board, colleagues as well. I will be very brief in my report because you've given a lot of highlights of what I was mentioning. So if I can have the slides brought up, and then if we can have our team from LA City College be on standby. So here are the 4 things I'd like to cover just briefly this afternoon. I'm going to add one more nail to the house that we're building, give a very brief update on status of our campuses and vaccinations. And Mr. Vettis, excellent job of giving an accurate summary related to that and our re-engagement plans. I'd like to emphasize how important it is for us to maintain our eyes on the prize, particularly around student success and equity. And if you heard the reports earlier presented by our board members, I think they underscore the very important role of equity in everything that we're doing. We're going to recover and rebound and reemerge, if you will, and as the work that we have done over the last 14 months with an equity mindedness that is principled and strategic. And then I'll end with the reason at the end of this academic year, we're getting very close, that we've got some things that we'd like to share with you all. So on the COVID-19 status, you are quite correct. As we look at the information that's here, we do expect that an announcement will be made very, very shortly, could be today, tomorrow, on that we have entered the yellow tier. So I'd like to recommend that everyone go to our website, look at our re-engagement plans, and look at what the yellow tier means. Essentially, it's up to 50%. And we do expect that to continue. That is the hospitalizations being down, positivity cases down, death totals down, and then vaccinations up. And we do know that that is disproportionate, that there are some members of our community due to age, income, or gender or race that are not yet vaccinated. So we're trying to do everything we can, absolutely everything, to encourage those who are able and interested to be indeed voluntarily vaccinated. So we do continue to have everything under review. Our EOC has been active since the emergency was called back in March of 2020. Over 400 members of our campus and district community has been involved in our EOC. So this notion of quote unquote a higher level of on-campus presence is something that we're reviewing very, very closely. We are also reviewing this idea of can indeed a vaccination be mandated and required for return to on-campus services and activities. So that is under review as well. We've not yet made an announcement on that like the UC and CSUs has, but there are several components of that UC and CSU statement that they made a week or so ago that are still under review as well. So I wanted to make sure that folks were
we're aware of that, but it is true that we're making very, very good, steady progress towards moving out of this pandemic. We're clearly still in it now and have taken all the necessary precautions. I would say this, Mr. Vettis, to the exact point that you made earlier. We have while our transition out of our campuses to off-campus, both teaching and learning and business continuity environment was rather quick. The return will be safe, measured, methodical, strategic, and indeed one that was fraught with the kind of intelligence that we have held our standards to over the last several months. There's no reason to believe that we would do anything different. So I wanted to provide that assurance. Vax status, and you see here, there's more supply than indeed demand. Which is very good. So those that we're encouraging folks who indeed can get vaccinated to do so. That is all we can do is urge and highly encourage at this point. I'm very pleased that several of our colleges have been part of the testing as vaccination efforts for our colleges, and it's something that we're very, very proud of. So we do have local environments that are available for our faculty, our staff, and our students indeed to be vaccinated. Moving to our re-engagement plans, yes, we are planning for yellow for on-site instruction and student services for this fall. The remainder of this semester, the remainder of the summer will essentially be as we have planned and are doing now. Not a whole lot of changes. We do have on-site classes, on-site services, people who are going to the campuses each day, from administration to our workers and others who are on site, getting our campuses indeed prepared. So I commend their work, and then we'll be joining them again in a measured, methodical, thoughtful, and a strategic way. We will be using our re-engagement grid. I referred to that earlier, and in all likelihood, at the rate that we are going, we're going to move past the color-coded blueprint on or before June 15th. And that was a declaration made by our governor. And indeed, it was foreshadowing what was to lie ahead. But we will do so as measured, again, safely and indeed methodically. We're going to continue to track COVID cases, that we are required by law to do that. And I will simply remind everyone that the situation has been and will continue to remain fluid, dynamic, which requires us to be nimble and safe as we indeed restore and return to more in-person services and instruction. So I would say this, these are the sort of characteristics that have, I think, characterized our environment and will continue to do so. We must remain agile and indeed stable. We have been a stable environment for our faculty, our staff, and indeed our students. The disruption that took place, necessary disruption caused by a global pandemic, our resolve and our resilience to move through it, to position ourselves to continue to deliver our classes, to continue to provide services, to continue to lay out our agenda has been very, very, I think, importantly executed in a way that I think we can all be proud of, with health and safety being the priority, with providing direct student assistance that has been provided by both the federal and state government, by maintaining our district and college operations. And yes, in Mr. Vela's report, he talked about the aid that we are receiving, and we're putting that to excellent use in the ways that are defined by both our federal and state government. We've had incredible support from our city and county agencies so that we could provide services from mental health to basic needs, to students who are unhoused, to those that are indeed necessarily impacted and disproportionately impacted. This we know, that the pandemic has favored those who've been able to navigate this, and those characteristics of those who've been able to navigate it are those who are more educated, those who are employed, those who have health insurance, and those who are housed. It has hit those communities and populations that aren't in those categories, where they're unhoused, where they're uninsured, where they're less educated, and indeed unemployed or have unstable employment. Well, we are, those of us who work at LACCD, in the former category. The students that we serve are in the latter category. So somehow, through our thoughtful planning and through our value system that is LACCD, we have to find a way to continue to provide support and services to the most vulnerable and highly impacted populations, our student populations. So we, and as was mentioned here before in the presentations, we continue to work very closely with all of our bargaining units for a higher level of in-person instruction and services for this fall, and our engagement will continue. As we move forward, I wanted to note that we do have a new check-in process that began earlier this week. It is an app. It's called the SAFE app for smartphones and tablets. It takes a couple of a minute or so to indeed click through. We have to do this for once because we have single points of entry at each of our colleges. But for the contact tracing that is required for the next couple of years, it does allow us to see where folks are intending to go, which areas of the campus or the district office they're intending to occupy in the event of a COVID spread. We will know and can notify folks appropriately in a timely basis so that we can secure the area and engage in our health and safety protocols. So this is the app. Check it out. It's posted on our district website, and one that can easily be done on your smartphone. Moving to the student success and equity component of the presentation, you know, there is opportunity in crisis, and this has been a tremendous crisis that we've all had to bear on many, many fronts. On the health and safety front, the impact to our classrooms is important here too. But it's important to note that what we return to will be different than what we left. We do need to look at health and safety as a broad policy measure and to implement that at our colleges that perhaps are more strict, more stringent, and better executed than when we left. The teaching and learning, you know, we have learned from this environment that there are things that we can do better, the system support, things that we can do better to support the teaching and learning of our students. So that is something that has been a teachable moment here. We've also learned that we can provide some student support services indeed online that are effective, that are useful, and that with the combination of in-person, hybrid, and online may actually be the architecture of a student support services delivery system for our future. A 21st century community college providing services in a variety of ways that meets the needs, first and foremost, from our students. We've also taken this opportunity, and Trustee Henderson mentioned this in her presentation, to look deeply at racial equity and inclusion, racial equity and diversity, racial equity, and indeed the kinds of environments that both attract, recruit, hire, retain, and promote marginalized or historically minoritized communities. This is an opportunity, as is outlined in our framework for racial equity and social justice, to take a deep, hard look. Do our faculty, do our administrators, does our staff indeed reflect the rich diversity of our students? It's an important educational as well as employment question indeed to answer. So we are about that work, taking full interest in what might result as changes to those practices, keeping in mind what our current restrictions are in the law. We're taking a deep, hard look and asking everyone, as was mentioned by Mr. Vettis earlier, to fill out the campus safety and security questionnaire survey that is out, to participate in the town halls that are going on each of the campuses, and in some cases by constituency groups. Participate. Your voice will be necessary and is necessary and valued. Your voices collectively will help to shape a request for proposals for the kind of safety and security for this district moving forward. That will manifest itself in what's called a request for proposals, an RFP. From that RFP, we will solicit, get bids, put a committee together, make a recommendation that I can take to the board for adoption. That'll take place sometime this fall. We will extend our current contract with the LA Sheriff's Department for several months as we move through this process beyond June 30th, so we could move through this and include the voices, inform that RFP, and make a recommendation to the board for a firm to begin our services on or about January the 1st of 2022. You've heard from the robust report that Mr. Fong gave. We have not slowed down in meeting with our federal legislators, our state legislators, to provide additional resources, additional tools that we can use to support the needs of our students. We're meeting locally, nationally, through Zoom, and in any way that we can to tell the LACCD story and to provide additional resources and to weigh in on the legislative agenda of some of our congressional delegation and others who would support the mission of community colleges. In addition, I want to point out that we've got these wonderful groups and discussions. You heard reports on all of these except one. We have an inaugural committee for Mexican American, Central American, and Latino affairs, which Dr. Buelna will chair. That meets next Tuesday, the 11th. Our featured speaker is Dr. Alvaro Huerta. He comes to us from the Cal Poly Pomona campus, where he serves as an associate professor of urban and regional planning and in ethnic and women's studies. He is our featured speaker. We will also have a presentation on the Central American diaspora in Los Angeles, and so that we can learn more about our Central American community. This meeting, as well as these others that are here, are all open to the public. We ask you, join us, be involved. Tell us what you're thinking. What do you think about? We've made these public meetings with our DACA Immigration Task Force, the next meeting of the API Student Affairs Committee that Mr. Fong chairs, the next meeting of the Advisory Committee for Black African American Affairs that Trustee Henderson chairs. All these are open meetings. You should never feel that you don't have an opportunity to express your interests, to codify your concerns to district administration, to district trustees, and to those of us who are the implementers of the board's bold vision for equity, for justice, and for increased support to our students, which translates to increased success of our students. I just have one or two more slides. I also want to remember this is indeed a season of celebrations, and I appreciate Dr. Roman's announcement earlier about the Jack Kent Cooke Scholar winners. I mean, that's fantastic news. It's one of the most prestigious national and most lucrative national college scholarships there are for transfer students. So we celebrate them. We hope to hear from other colleges receiving the same sort of news. So we'll bring that report to the board. But I'll also invite everyone, the public, those who are listening in, extend these invitations to be with us in community with our LGBTQ community on May 17th at 4 p.m. where we celebrate the third annual graduation under the guidance and tutelage of Trustee Vela. We're celebrating, embracing, lifting, elevating, amplifying the voice of our LGBTQ students. And I'm so proud, and as all of us are at the trustees and our district administration and college administration, just stand with our students in the LGBTQ community. We will stand with you and celebrate with you that day. And I'm also very pleased to celebrate for the 11th year now, 11th year, the virtual Black graduation celebration, in which we will celebrate, uplift, and amplify the voices and celebrate the success of our Black students. So please join us in community, join us in unity. This is what it's all about. All these efforts, all the work culminates in the success of our students. So let me finalize my celebration with this. Mr. Prieto, we're going to celebrate you. And for those who are not aware, that we have a real opportunity here to celebrate one of our own, General Counsel Jeff Prieto, in this tremendous announcement that we learned about last week, where Mr. Prieto has been nominated to serve as the General Counsel for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. That's a big deal. Mr. Prieto, that is a testament to you, to your profession, to your craft, to your family, to the public service record that you have held for every moment of your professional life. We salute you, we celebrate you. We know it has to go through a formal Senate confirmation, and we know that process has started and will take place and can take 3 or 4 months, but we did not want to let this moment pass. So on behalf of Board President Vettis, the Board of Trustees, all our college colleagues and district colleagues, we stand with you in this nomination. We celebrate you for your life of public service, Mr. Prieto. So with that, I will conclude my report and just thank everyone for this last 14 months. It's been incredibly a testament to resilience and indeed resolve. Mr. Vettis and members of the board, colleagues on the line, and those who you represent, we have absolutely gone through this in a very courageous, unapologetic way. So I wanted to thank you all for your support. And then the last part of the presentation, Mr. Vettis, is to look at one of our colleges and their master planning that we need to amend and get your vote on. But I'm happy to respond to any questions on any of the matters that I've described or anything else that's on your mind.
Sorry.
There you go, Mr. Vettis. There you go.
Sticky button there. Thank you, Chancellor, for the report. Very much appreciated. And if colleagues, if you would like to ask a question or make a comment, please raise your virtual hand and I'll call on you that way. I will make a quick comment to the General Counsel. I know the process is going to take a few months, so we're going to be lucky to have you for that bit of time, but you finally found an organization that's more litigious than us. You know, for the sake of the nation and all the things that happen with the Environmental Protection Agency, there's plenty of initiatives here in Los Angeles. I imagine we'll continue to see you connected. I think I was on a call a few months back with the EPA folks regarding a massive brownfield site here in Boyle Heights that is near and dear to many of our hearts to see it get cleaned up well and happen in a good way. We actually were hoping if you would have been there, you know, when we were dealing with that litigation issue, we might have a much better place to deal with. But excited for you and excited for this nation, and really look forward to watching the wonderful changes you can bring to the Environmental Protection Agency. So congratulations, Jeffrey. Let me jump over to, I see Trustee Hoffman's hand, and then for any others that would like to make a comment, again, please raise your virtual hand.
Thank you, President Veras, and congratulations, General Counsel. It's exciting and we're all very proud of you, so congratulations. Chancellor, thank you for your excellent report, and I'm really proud to be part of a board that is so focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think it's really important, and I think we all appreciate you taking the lead, and we're definitely doing the hard work, so thank you. I do have one question because I, as a trustee, have been questioned, and if we can get a little bit of clarification today, or maybe President Veras, we need to set up a committee of the whole meeting. I want to know what the vision of 50% looks like. And I would love to hear from all of the college presidents about what their safe return to campus plans entail, because when I hear 50% return, and I think about, for instance, an area where I work on a daily basis, which is student services, you know, some of our campuses don't have leadership right now. They don't have a VP of student services or even a dean in the area. And so how do you bring back 50% of your student services without that strong leadership there? So I want to make sure that we're not just throwing out 50% and we're doing it 50% across the board, but that we have some real thought put into the process. You know, some thought about our students and and how they're obtaining services. And I would say the same for academic affairs and instruction. It's really hard when you don't have a VP of academic affairs on the campus, if that position is vacant, to schedule and look at what does 50% entail in terms of making a schedule that students can enroll in. And I'm sure Dr. Corner can probably give us some statistics about what kinds of classes are better in person versus remote. So I just want to put that out there. And President Veras, is there a way that we as a board can get a presentation on those plans from each of the colleges?
You know, I know.
I have just a point of order in terms of. I understand the request, but shouldn't we give the chancellor and the administrative team the deference on that plan before we attempt to jump over? I mean, I understand Trustee Hoffman, and you're my favorite, but I think I think that the chancellor and the administrative team have disagreed on that, but that's their job.
Trustees, let me suggest this. Since we're in the midst of a dialogue, a conversation, a negotiation, all of the above, with essentially our labor entities in the district that will sort of deal with the specific conditions and terms. I think as we get closer to sort of mutual understanding, that I think when we have agreements on terms, I think it behooves us to be able to, obviously explain and announce and put it out there. But I think that process is happening as we speak. I think we've heard different pieces of it, but if it continues to be an issue, because some of it may be legal, some of it may be county public health, some of it may be philosophy and approach, but I'm not sure like we're actually prepared to do it like here in this setting. So if it's a different setting, trustee, I can talk to the chancellor, we can incorporate those thoughts, but it has to be within the context of this bilateral relationship and negotiation process that's undergoing right now.
Yes, if I could just give a thank you, Mr. Vettis, for that clarifying point. I think that's the right approach to take. But I would just say this to members of the board, members of the public. If you'd like to see the contours of what that looks like, we've had our re-engagement grid now updated with the current public health and safety plans posted on our website for several months now. That's the beginning discussion as to how we can indeed position our services and our academic programs and administration to help support that. The questions of leadership are also important, and those, of course, have to be addressed as well. The context of the early retirement program that we're asking the board to finalize today will also be a part of that human resources conversation. So there's quite a bit, but if you want to get a sense, it's not a mystery of what it could look like per the health and safety standards. Please refer to the re-engagement grid.
Chancellor, and thank you for that. And I think that's really good, valuable information. But I was more making the comment so that folks could have an opportunity to weigh in. I don't know if we've had any town halls. I know I haven't been invited to anything other than I think you did one for the ESC, but has there been an opportunity for folks to sort of weigh in and talk about their concerns and hear about and that's why I thought the college presidents would be, for the board to get a report from the college presidents about that process. Yep. I don't feel like I've known that there's a process, and I'm sure that there is one. So that's all I was asking. I wasn't, challenging, what already got posted, but rather than the top-down approach of this is what we're doing, has there been constituency input? And I would love to hear, because I'm sure it's different on each campus, what the plans are. That's all.
Well, and let me go to the general counsel, but I do want to say that we have, because of the nature of the memorandums of understanding with our bargaining units, there is a certain responsibility in terms of workplace conditions that has to be respected because it's contractual. So I get like the town hall experience, the group thing, but we also have written agreements with employee representative groups that I know that's a very important respect process to acknowledge the contracts and the MOUs that have been created that are there. But General Counsel, you have your hand up and
just, yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a real quick point. What I would say, and I think you touched on, this might be a better topic in terms of future agenda items. And because of the complexity of this from a bargaining standpoint, from a legal standpoint, from an operational standpoint, is Trustee Well, I think it's an absolutely appropriate point to make, and just indicating to the Chancellor that you would like some additional information along these lines. I would just note that this is not an agendized item right now, so I don't know that we want to go. And that was not Trustee Hoffman's point as well. That's why I think it's a future agenda item, future discussion.
Okay, so noted. Thank you.
Trustee, we'll take the comment and work towards the future here. So
Trustee Vettis?
let me jump over. I got Trustee Vela and I got Trustees Vela and then wellness hand that have come up. So Trustee Vela.
Yes, I would like to see this be on our future agenda, as well as perhaps discussed, through a committee of the whole, perhaps, or anything else that would allow for public participation and student participation without, obviously the concerns and violating any type of agreement with our stakeholders and our unions. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Bowman.
Yes. So, as we go through this item, I think we're also going to need to there's a lot of folks who in education, higher education, K-12, just education across the board, to understand the absolutely decimation that's occurred with regard to learning. Even though our faculty, staff, and students have done an awesome job adapting, and I've seen that in my teaching, because I'm also teaching. There's a lot of suffering, that's been occurring. Just a lot of suffering, a lot of mental health issues, a lot of I can go down the line. So as we have that assessment and have that discussion, there's a lot of folks, a lot of students, a lot of faculty, a lot of staff that are shy about participating. So if we're going to have a participation, sometimes folks can attend, want to speak out in public, then maybe that process, if we're going to open up Pandora's box, needs to be very clear in allowing for anonymous comments and for experts to clearly show us how such a diverse area like Los Angeles has been in terms of the suffering that's occurred. So as we're making those decisions, everyone understands that the level of pain that's occurred. I'm not saying that we don't understand, but I think if this town hall is going to occur, that we have a full picture on everything that's occurred. But because there's been a lot of good, but there's been a hell of a lot of bad that's occurred to our students in their homes, students that literally can't make a presentation because their moms or dads are cooking, or people are interrupting their presentations, or kicked out, or they're in their cars, and can't get showers because our facilities aren't open. So I'm just saying, let's bring a totality of the presentation, if there's going to be a presentation, and not just a few folks.
Trustee Bowman, Trustee Hoffman, Vela, thank you for the comments. Certainly, we'll pull them together, and I think this is obviously all very important to us, and so all the trustees are valuable and important in the way we get to this final re-engagement process here. So. Any other questions? If not, we have a presentation waiting for us. I see President Gallagher and our team, Mr. Holloway and others ready to go to talk about the new updates at City College. So if there's none, could also save space later in the agenda during future items if you wanted to raise some of this, because this actually spoke to future items as opposed to the Chancellor report exactly. But I'll leave that there, and let's move forward with what is it? Y1? Y1.
Yes, please. So President Geller, I'll pitch it to you, and let's get this going.
Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you, Board President Veras, and our other trustees here, and other colleagues in the district, as well as the public, for giving us the opportunity to present this update to our master plan for Los Angeles City College. Here with me today is Dora Lorente, who's our regional program manager with Build LACCD, and John Holloway, who many of you I think know. He is our bond legal counsel. So I'm going to start by just giving you a little bit of history about our, oh, I'm sorry, Crystal, are you doing the slides for us? Sorry, I'm just moving along. Or Lupe?
We didn't receive a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you should be have the function.
All right, let me get the presentation. I apologize. I did not realize that this did not.
I could also share it, Dr. Gallagher. I have it ready.
Thank you, Dora.
Okay.
Please do.
No problem at all. So here we go.
All right.
So let me start.
All right.
Here.
Great.
Can you tell me?
And next slide, please. All right. So just kind of ignore the draft and the little draft through it. Basically, our facilities master plan was originally approved in 2002. We have had some minor revisions and updates in 2009 and 2019. This now proposed update came about as a result of a couple of things with regard to the Cesar Chavez replacement building. There are three triggers, if you will, that really are manifesting itself in this master plan update, and that is that we will be able to save time to completion, at least a year and perhaps more, which will save substantial money on this bond project. The second consideration was the consideration of swing space. Swing space would have been millions of dollars for us to swing everyone from the Cesar Chavez building to several other locations.
I apologize. I was told to stop sharing. I think they're going to do something else.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and keep talking about it, and because the next slide will actually be the layout of the current master plan. So, so the third trigger to this update was the opportunity for us to actually change the entry point on Heliotrope so that it looks like a real entry into a college campus. So those three considerations really made this opportunity to bring this to you today possible. The other thing that's going to happen as a result of this is we're going to save almost 3,000 square feet. So this proposal also allows us to save about 3,000 square feet. And I don't see a presentation up yet.
Yeah,
so
the one that I was sharing has my notes. So I think it's coming. I think it's coming.
Thank you.
Dr. Smith has his hand raised. Maybe he has a recommendation.
It should be yeah, there it goes.
There it is. There it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So one more, there you go. We're on track now. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. All right. So this is our current master plan, and where the Cesar Chavez building is. If you take a look at where the green field is and just look to your right, that first building is the current Cesar Chavez building. And note that that's really right up on the sidewalk, right on Heliotrope. There's no real entry to that building other than a breezeway. So I think that one of the things to consider is there's going to be a shift to how our campus looks on that side of the campus as a result of the new theater going in. The theater currently is just to the north and east of the Cesar Chavez building, and that will be demolished, which will leave a open space right there. And part of that open space is called to be some landscaping, a beautiful walkway from the central part of the campus to the north part of the campus. But there was also that open area where it was part of our central quad. So I'm going to hand this off to Dora Lorente now, and she will talk about the proposed change to the master plan.
Of course. Good afternoon, President Veras and Board of Trustees, Chancellor Rodriguez. It is my pleasure to present to you here for the first time. So this presentation here, the slide shows the 2021 proposed update. And we see here how we move the building, the Cesar Chavez building, further into the campus, to the east of the campus and north of the student services. Once the construction of the replacement building is complete, the existing building will be demolished, which it was where the area of green and trees is shown right now. And this area will be landscaped to create a beautiful grand entry plaza from the west edge of the campus. And the new building will become a central icon before the north quad, which is to the right of this new Caesar, and in between the main quad, which is to east of it. And also will become this building, as you see Vermont right below on this plan. This building could be seen from Vermont, so it will become a focal point from pedestrians and all. Next slide, please. So here, okay, so yes, the benefits here, we're avoiding the cost and risk of inconvenience of swing space. We're saving about millions of dollars, close to $35 million, because we don't have to wait until we build, we demolish the existing until we'll build the new one. So we save 6 months right there, but we're also saving and not having to swing space, to move users into swing space, and early remodeling permanent locations in different buildings. The construction will start sooner. We have scheduled to start in April of 2024, and it will about end in June 2026. And also the net decrease of this new building, the new footprint proposed, we reduce it, like Dr. Gallagher say, almost 3,000 square feet. So this is all the positive changes with this small modification.
Okay, I'll take over from here. Thank you, Dora. Because the Cesar Chavez building was previously analyzed in a prior EIR and approved by the board, an addendum in this case is appropriate. The changes here, the slight relocation of the building and downsizing will not result in any new or significant environmental impact. So a new EIR is not required, rather an addendum. Next slide, please. So what we're asking today is the Board of Trustees approve both the master plan update reflecting the relocation of the building, as well as the addendum to the EIR reflecting the CEQA analysis. And with that approval, staff would file a notice of determination with the county clerk. Next slide. So we are looking for guidance to the board. It would be a vote to approve the resolutions that are in the board packet, approving the master plan update and the addendum to the EIR.
Okay, thank you, John. Let me go around and give the trustees a chance to ask some questions here. Let me start off with Trustee Villa.
Mr. Vettis, do you want to take a motion first, or do you want to do it this way? Either way.
We'll do questions, because I think the questions actually might be ones that all of us have in common. But the presentation is clear, and this is not the first update to the plan that we were reviewing. So let's do a round with the questions here. So Trustee Villa.
Yeah, thank you so much, President Gallagher, and thank you so much, Dora. Can I see the slide of where the building is going to be relocated to? I just didn't. I guess my bigger question, these homes on Heliotrope Drive, have they been notified of this? Was there any issues from the community at all?
We're still very early in the process here. They will definitely will be notified. We're very respectful to the fact that we're so close to the housing next to us on that west edge of the campus. To my knowledge, there has not been any issues yet. I don't know if Dr. Gallagher or John would have something to add there.
I would only add that what was previously approved was to replace the existing building along Heliotrope, and this new building will be moved in campus, so it'll be further from the residences, providing a greater buffer than originally planned.
Thank you. I understand, but I just want to make sure I'm approving this tonight, that we have some communication with the neighbors President Gallagher, that's important to me, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Trustee Bella.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Vella. Let me go to Trustee Hoffman.
Thank you, President Veras, and thank you, team, for that presentation. I just have a question about the demolition, and so sort of piggybacking on what Trustee Vella said. How long is the demo going to take, and how displaced will the neighbors in that street become? And so, and what's the timing? When are we starting it? In an off season when school is out, or how are we managing that?
We are always, and in all of our projects, very respectful, not even only of the neighborhood in this case, but our own buildings surrounding the new construction. So it is our goal to maintain the same measurements that we always do. Like we could even bring a sound walls to avoid this reverberation of noise. And we definitely install fencing around to minimize that too, and carefully planning all scheduling activities, even respecting the city ordinances as far as the time that we can inflict into construction there. So this is definitely all of these items, and safety in our campuses is first. So we're all working on mitigating all these issues. Okay. Definitely, and then the duration, as you asked, is about 6 months of the whole project of demolishing a building this large, respecting within 6 months.
And you'll abide by like timeframes?
For sure.
Okay. We'll make sure that occurs. I promise you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Trustee. Although if it starts now, you don't have to abide by the academic calendar.
That's true.
The facilities program has been doing quite well with the campuses not doing in-person stuff. So anyhow, thank you. Any other questions, Trustee Hoffman? No, Trustee Henderson, questions or comments?
No questions or comments, just thank you for the presentation.
Wonderful. Trustee Buona, questions or comments?
None, Trustee Veras.
Perfect. Trustee Moreno?
No, I don't have any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Student trustee has his hand.
I'm rolling down the list. So
sorry.
Sorry, it's the way my screen rolls it. So let's do. I had Trustee Fong. I know Trustee Fong. This is a near and dear school to your heart. This is your parents' school. So questions or comments?
We love LA City College. Thank you so much, President Veras, and thank you for mentioning that. And yes, I wouldn't be here today if they hadn't met there. So thank you, and thank you, LA City College team, for the presentation. Really, no questions at this time. I really appreciate you and all your leadership. Thank you, President Veras.
Thank you. Next, student trustee. You're another person with the college near and dear to his heart. So student trustee, questions or comments?
Yes, hi. So City is my home campus, and so I was thinking about how is this going to affect the students, since the new building will be moved onto the quad, basically, and take over the quad, since students do a lot of activities such as Welcome Week or Club Rush. How is this going to affect the student activities there? Is it going to be beneficial to them, or I don't know? Are students taken into consideration when it comes to moving the building towards the quad?
Yes, student trustee Geronimo. Yes, I'm thank you for the question. Good question. We actually have a new quad, if you will, or really gathering area that's being put in place as part of our landscape master plan that will go from the north end of the central quad, about where the current theater building is, and will go all the way to the north part of the campus. That will incorporate in some outdoor seating, trees, a great area to gather, and an area where you can actually have a podium that gets connected, and all of the that is in place in that area. So we expect that that will be the area where people will gather for events and activities. So moving this building into that part of the central quad is not going to displace where students do their activities and other folks do their activities. There'll be a whole new place that will be created for that. That's going to be pretty beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, and then it leaves my comments here. So I almost, as opposed to like one long quad, it almost feels like we have a couple more compacted quads, which seems and feels good. And I'd like to say, actually, you know, when our front facing with the campus looks to the outside community, I think does make a difference in terms of being warm and inviting. I know this proposed master change only really deals with the heliotrope side and deals with Chavez, but at some point, President Gallagher, I'd like to put on your agenda how to get a nicer facing Melrose exposure, because it is, I don't worry too much about the Willowbrook and towards the north, because it does butt up against residential, but you know, when you think of City College, most of the time people are giving directions to Vermont and Melrose, because those are the iconic streets that are there. I mean, Heliotrope's a smaller street, but it does run the entire length of the campus. But just from the iconic standpoint of directions, it's the freeway off ramp. I mean, you get off on Vermont or you get off on Melrose, you know, and those kinds of things. So at some point, it would be great to, as a future issue. You know, my comment's not for here, but generally speaking, running along the same kind of thought process of how you make your entrances as welcome as possible. So, yeah.
If I may comment, Trustee Veras, actually the end result of this will create a really interesting view from Vermont straight through the campus to the new Cesar Chavez building.
You're right.
Another project that we have, which is a new fencing project, will actually change the fencing that's on that Vermont side so that you'll be able to see through much more easily than you can now. And we're also working with a philanthropic individual who is working with us to create a sculpture garden in that central quad. So all of those things together, we believe, will create really a destination for our community at LA City College, and it'll open up greater opportunity and interest than currently exists.
Great, thank you, President. Trustee, I see a last minute hand from you.
Yeah, yes, I do have a question. You triggered it. I was cruising along till you asked the question, but could you put that slide up again that has a picture of the whole area, and maybe you can point out in that slide where's the new area you're going to be developing. Let me tell you my bottom line issue is, after having been involved in designing all over East LA College, inheriting some permanent buildings early in our development, one of the challenges I always had is trying to divide up the campus in such a way as to provide some free area between buildings, a larger area. I might add the picture behind who's the architect. If you turn on the architect picture, the woman who was on the responsible for this change, what's her name? A woman who was just on this.
Oh, Dora Lorente, is that who you're? Oh, yes.
Yeah, if you put her picture on, you'll see our quad at East LA College right behind it. So my purpose is that my comments is that in developing the college, I realized there was some limits in our ability to do that because of the stationing of some permanent buildings. If I had to do it all over again, I would open that up, not close it in as much. We try to save as much area for the quad as possible. But we found that a very unique position, in that it adds to the image of having an institution of higher education. And I always marveled at the size of the quad at City. And I just wondered, were there any objections by the faculty, or that those longtime faculty members who either attended City College in the past or have a remembrance of what it was like when it's in its zenith, because it did have quite a different design that I was purposely developed to keep the image of higher education. You understand my point?
Yes, I understand your point, Trustee Moreno. And I think that part of what this change will accomplish for us is to actually give a connection from the east side to the west side, but there's transition to the north side of the campus because you have two quads. And right now, while we do have a large central quad, the quad that's being developed from the south to the north is going to be a substantial quad as well.
Where is that? Where is that on the map?
Well, I don't have a pointer, but if you look at the brown building and you look to your right, it's that open area there. That open area to the right of the new building, the brown building, yes, where the arrow is now, that is all going to be a newly developed quad.
What was there before that you removed from that site?
The theater building, the theater building. The theater is going now to the corner of Vermont and Monroe.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, just adding a little bit of my experience of having survived East LA College for 18 years and being able to make it a different school, I realized there were challenges made that I could not overcome because of the positioning of some permanent buildings early on. And I always thought trying to keep an open area was very valuable as much as possible, because there's a natural desire to take that area and start building. And after looking at our program for many years, our design, I realized that it would have been better to open that area up more than it is now. Ironically, the backdrop of the engineer is our East LA College quad. If she comes on the screen again. Anyways, those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Okay, with that, everybody's had a chance to comment. Let me ask for a motion in a second to approve the addendum to the EIR and approve the resolution to approve the master plan.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Vella and seconded by?
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Fong. And can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student Trustee Geronimo's advisory vote.
Yes.
Trustee Buelna.
Yes.
Trustee Fong.
Yes.
Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Moreno.
Yes.
Trustee Vella.
Yes.
Trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We're
Thank
back
you,
up to
everyone.
Thank you, President Gallagher.
Thank you, trustees.
Thank you, Dora.
Thank you, Dora.
Okay, now we're back up to the combined consent calendar. So we have matters L1 through Y8 before you for your approval. Are there any issues with that? Well, first of all, let me ask for a motion in a second, and I'll see if there's any specific needs to pull or questions here. So is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Motion moved by Trustee Vella, seconded by?
I'll second.
Trustee Hoffman. Thank you both. Any questions on items on the consent calendar? Trustee Hoffman?
I do have a question on L2, the status advancement for contract faculty members. Is this, so next month is when we approve the tenured faculty and we have our celebration, correct? In June? Chancellor?
That is what we are planning, yes.
Okay. So this list of the advancement of faculty members, I just want to make sure that everyone on the list is eligible to be on tenure track, because I've heard that there may be some discrepancies in terms of grant funded positions that somehow get on the list. So Chancellor, can you explain the process to some of us?
Sure. Let me, yes, happy to. Let me ask our interim Vice Chancellor of Human Resources to join us here. This is a recommendation in that category. I don't want to misspeak on the particular steps. It is a very defined process. So I want to make sure that we go through this. Dr. Gutierrez, are you in the room?
We'll bring her in right now.
Yes, her microphone's on.
Okay, thank you so much. But this is the usual and customary list of advancement for contract faculty members that are going from first to second, and then from second to their third and fourth years.
Hello?
Oh, Dr. Gutierrez,
okay.
are you in the room?
I am in the room.
Okay, thank you. There was a question by Trustee Hoffman to share some of the process that's used to derive the list that we're asking the board to approve today.
Certainly. The status advancement is actually based on the statutory requirements of being able to serve at least 75% of the year in the instructional program. That does determine whether or not an individual advances into the next stage of their particular program. That is notwithstanding any and all evaluation requirements that are part of the process in order to achieve tenure.
So is it just faculty that have been hired to be on a tenure track, or does this include faculty who maybe accidentally went over their 67% and now somehow get on the list?
So these are specific to the individuals that are being advanced and moved into the tenure process. Individuals that may have gone beyond the waiver are typically reviewed on a case-by-case basis in order to ensure if there was a potential for a probationary status. And we look at those on a case-by-case basis. We do have a few cases that we are aware of that have been questioned, and we are currently reviewing those in particular.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gutierrez.
Does that satisfy your question, Trustee? Or is this an item that we need to pull for other?
I mean, I see Trustee Henderson's hand is up, and she may have the same questions that I have. I don't know.
All right, that's fine. Trustee Henderson, questions or comments?
Yes, thank you, President Veras. Piggybacking off of Trustee Hoffman's question, are these positions tenure track positions where the employee is being moved from one place to another on this tenure track role, or are they positions that were not tenure track and for some reason they are being considered? How do we know how to distinguish between those positions and the ones that are that are positions that are now being considered for tenure, if that makes sense at all?
Yes, these are the ones that are being advanced because they are in a tenure track process.
Tenure track because the employee was hired into a tenure track position.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the consent? Thank you for the answers and staff. Let's move forward with the roll call vote.
Student Trustee Geronimo's advisory vote.
Yes.
Trustee Buelna.
Yes.
Trustee Fong.
Yes.
Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Moreno.
Yes.
Trustee Vera.
Yes.
Trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, colleagues. We are now moving on to agenda item. Where are we at? Z. Okay, agenda item Z. Can I get a motion to approve these business items?
Don't move.
So move.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that for the whole?
That was Trustee Fong.
That was Trustee Hoffman. Hoffman. Let her move it. So,
You guys were right on the same time here. So, okay, so Trustee Hoffman, seconded by Trustee Fong. Colleagues, is there any questions on any of the items in the Z category business items? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Student trustee Geronimo's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Fong,
yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Moreno,
Yes.
trustee Vela,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes. Okay, those facility items listed there. If I can ask for a motion and a second on this grouping of items.
And Mr. Vettis, excuse me, if I could remind the board that AA4 is off.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, I wrote that note down and just didn't get to the screen. So A1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 for the record are for our consideration. So is there a motion to approve? Motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Vela, and a second by
Second.
Trustee
Second.
Fong. Thank you very much, Trustee Fong. Colleagues, any questions on any of the items that are listed here? And of course, the 4 is off. So seeing no questions, move forward with the roll call vote.
Student trustee Geronimo's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna. We'll come back. Trustee Fong,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Moreno,
Yes.
trustee Vela,
Yes.
trustee Vettis,
Yes.
trustee Buelna.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Next is Section BB, recommendations from the Chancellor. We have a couple of board policies that have been listed. These were items that were noticed in the past, and Trustee Buelna alluded to them in terms of some of the committee work. And this has been an ongoing initiative from LACCD to get our board policies in alignment with state standards and to make sure they're all part of the board documents system that we use. It's all integrated, it's all searchable, and it's going to be much easier for us and the public to be able to look up. The other item is the authorization agreement with PARS to design and administer the supplemental retirement plan for eligible employees, and that has been presented to the board in the past as well. So those 2 items, or those 3 items, I should say, are up for board approval. Can I ask for a motion and a second? And if there's any discussion, we'll have that after the motions.
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Vela. And a second.
Second.
Oh, go ahead. Give it to trustee Henderson.
Trustee Henderson. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. So it's been motion and second. Colleagues, any questions on this? If you can raise your virtual hand and we'll have the appropriate staff answer. Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward with the roll call vote.
Student trustee Geronimo's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Fong,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Moreno,
Yes.
trustee Vela,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on to item CC, matters requiring a supermajority vote. And this is titled Authorize Encumbrances. And it is listed on the board rules if there's and it's related to budget items and following our procedures to incur a supermajority vote. So let me ask for a motion in a second. If there's any questions, we'll have our staff answer that. So Trustee Vela, are you lit up for the motion here? No, colleagues, any colleagues, motion or second?
I'll move to approve the.
Thank you, Trustee Hoff.
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Fong. Colleagues, any questions on this item?
Can we just get a quick overview by Ms. Gordon, if she's available?
Or I could give a 2 sentence. This just, we will present to you a tentative budget next month. This allows us to use up to 50% of that, what we're proposing, so that we can maintain our paying for expenditures for next year. So it's just a foreshadowing of a tentative budget and giving us the authority to move forward with purchases for the next academic year. But we'll present a full tentative budget to our budget committee on the 19th, and then ask for your support in June.
Great.
Does that help?
Yep, that helps.
Thank you. I appreciate the question, because when you read it, you're processing it and trying to fit it into the process. But I know we've done this in the past, and it's customary and usual practice. Okay, with that, let's do a roll call vote. And this is a super majority. So General Counsel, remind me, this is the 5 members of the board?
Yes, Board Rule 2412, and the supermajority is 5 votes based on our board rule.
Thank you, sir.
Student trustee Geronimo's advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Fong,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Moreno,
Yes.
trustee Vela,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so next is item DD. These are notices, reports, and informatives. HRAs listed, a number of initial proposals for collective bargaining are there. CCAP agreements with several schools that within our service territory are there. And again, these are notices. These will be coming back to the board. This is our first part of a sunshining process. So no action necessary on this one, just other than to receive the items. So we'll deem them received if there's no objections from the board, and we will be able to act on these later. So thank you with that. So next we have item EE. Oh, just General Counsel, need a comment?
I apologize interrupting you, Board Chair. Just for possibly just to make sure that we actually finish our agenda, and I apologize. We may want, if the board president wants to entertain a motion to finish up and move item HH before we do announcements and public comment of items that are not on the agenda, as well as reporting out on closed session. It just allows us to finish the meeting, and then we can do those final, but you would require obviously a motion to do that if the board is interested.
Okay. No, I believe that's an appropriate change just for the flow of the meeting. So colleagues, if there's no objections, we'll take item HH ahead of future proposed items now. And let me go ahead and move forward with a text script here. So actually, General Counsel, in terms of reports of action taken and closed, was there any items that required
Board Chair, and you're absolutely right, we can handle that. There were no items that were taken in a closed session that are required to be reported out per the Brown Act. So we can do that, and that now item has been addressed.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. So then we'll move to item HH, and this is approval of dismissal of academic employee, and the employee number is listed on the agenda. Colleagues, I'll read for the record here. We're pursuant to section 87671 of the Education Code, the board is considering a recommendation from the district's chancellor and the college president to initiate the process to dismiss a regular academic employee. This employee has submitted a written request for the board to conduct its review of the proposed charges, the recommendations, and the employee's performance evaluation in open session. Dr. Gutierrez, have you presented the board with the recommendations from the chancellor and the college president?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Is there any board discussion?
So moved.
Okay, 1 second. So seeing no board discussion, Dr. Gutierrez, have you presented the board with the draft charges? And can you, if you have, can you please summarize the charges for dismissal?
Yes, I have. The charges for dismissal are based on the Education Code Section 87732, and the charges are for dishonesty, immoral conduct, evident unfitness for service, persistent violation or refusal to obey laws of the state, the colleges, and/or the district's reasonable rules and regulations.
Okay, is there any discussion by the board? If there is, please raise your virtual hand. Okay, seeing none. Dr. Gutierrez, have you presented the board with all personnel evaluations for the employee during the relevant period?
Yes, I have.
Is there any board discussion on those personnel evaluations? If there is, please raise your virtual hand. If not, we'll move on to the next part, which is if there is no other questions from the board or discussion regarding these items, Trustee Buona, I'll take your motion now. And for the record, the staff recommendation for motion is to move that the board adopt the statement of charges against Miguel Coronado as presented by the district, and that the board direct the chancellor or his designee to serve the statement of charges upon Dr. Coronado. So that is your motion, correct, Trustee Buona?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Seconded by Trustee Hoffman. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, I can ask for a roll call vote.
Chair, Mr. President, I apologize. Chair Bettis, we should ask to see if the employee is in the audience and would like to address the board. The employee does have that right. I don't know if the employee is here, but that should be that, at least for the record, should be allowed 3 minutes if in fact the employee does desire.
Okay, thank you, General Counsel. And I will also note that there were public comments, but not on behalf of the employee, but not from the employee themselves. So if we can, I think it appears that there is hands raised. If we can move them into the panelist portion, the individuals listed, if they are speaking on this item, we'll have 3 minutes to address. But just to the General Counsel, this is our due diligence, our double checking, because there was an opportunity to provide public comment on this item earlier in the agenda, but just out of courtesy, we wanted to allow and double check here that we're doing this. So I just wanted to indicate that on our part, this was an additional consideration that was given since the initial meeting offered those public comment spaces.
And President Bettis, that is correct. If in fact the employee would like to address the board, the employee would have 3 minutes. If in fact counsel for the employee would like to address the board, counsel would also have 3 minutes as well. So the employee can just identify himself by the employee number, and counsel can also identify as counsel, and they would have 3 minutes each. And I believe I believe Ms. Parker is counsel in here, but I will allow the chair to recognize the speakers.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Parker, can you identify yourself? And I'm understanding that you are the counsel for Mr. Coronado. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you, Mr. Veras. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak today.
Sure. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. And I realize it's been a long day, so I'll try to keep this short. The first thing, we urge the board to continue this matter and consider Dr. Coronado's appeal at a hearing before it deliberates and decides anything on the district's April 2021 charges. Regarding that point, we've asked the board to continue this hearing on these charges and instead hold a hearing on Dr. Coronado's January 2020 appeal of a decision made by President Mary Gallagher in December 2019. I provided a little bit more information in a written summary to a letter that I sent to the board this morning. But in summary, the college conducted an investigation into Dr. Coronado starting in June 2017 and ending in March 2019. And during that investigation, Dr. Coronado disputed the allegations, but there was no live hearing. There wasn't an opportunity to cross-examine or respond to evidence. There were 6 complainants in that case, but half of them weren't even interviewed by the investigator. I would note that student 1 and student 2 in the district's charges were 2 of those 6 complainants. We don't know what happened to the other 4. Apparently, they're no longer bringing charges. But in any case, the investigation, the adjudication process was all extremely unfair, based mostly on unverified hearsay. Of 80 witnesses that Dr. Coronado asked the investigator to interview, she only interviewed 1. Dr. Coronado was very, very obviously denied a fundamental due process right, and then he was unjustly found responsible for violating Administrative Regulation C-14. And in December 2019, that's when President Mary Gallagher decided to uphold those findings. But Dr. Coronado appealed the findings in January 2020. However, due to COVID-19, his appeal has not yet been heard by the board. So the district is now bringing additional charges that are different from the earlier ones, trying to prevent the board from considering Dr. Coronado's appeal. So we're just asking that this decision be delayed until the board can address Dr. Coronado's appeal, which should come first, especially considering that the board's, or the district, I'm sorry, the district's charges are all based on those, the charges that Dr. Coronado has disputed in his appeal. So the second point I wanted to make, if the board is considering any decision based on these charges, it should know that they're completely false. Dr. Coronado has disputed them at every step of the way since 2017. He's tried everything he can, and he's here today to answer any questions that you might have. The district, on the other hand, has brought no evidence forward. It's just relying on these bare allegations. And some of their charges can't even stand up. For instance, the charge of dishonesty. Dr. Coronado is being accused of dishonesty.
Sorry, your time's up, Ms. Parker. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Coronado is also here today to address the board.
Okay.
Unmute yourself. Thank you.
We'll provide him.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
3 minutes.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you could actually see me. I was hoping that I have an opportunity to look into your eyes directly, every single one of the distinguished board members, and including our outstanding Chancellor, Dr. Rodriguez. I am wearing a pin that he gave me at an orientation when I got hired back in September of 2016. And I want to just let you know categorically, I denied every single allegation. They started with 6 students, they end up with 2 students. I said that I wasn't fit for my position, but in 2016, I was hired, and in December, I was evaluated. I was given a 2nd-year contract. I was evaluated again, 100% favorability from the students. I was given a 34-year contract. And ever since I just got to the college, everything seemed to have just gone wrong as soon as we got a new dean, Drew Yamanishi. And also my colleague, Veronica Garcia, that I really truly feel, and there are witnesses that indicate that she conspired with these students to file these allegations, false, diabolical, psychopathic allegations. And I will literally have to have that kind of personality to come drive from Lancaster 2 hours and drive back 2 hours to Lancaster to plot to hurt my students that I love so much and I appreciate. I'm a former foster youth student. I suffered a lot as a young kid. I navigated the school system, and I lived on Columbia where Belmont High School is. I attended Virgil Junior High, and next thing you know, my life turns around and I'm at Los Angeles City College serving my community that I came back to honorably serve. And all of a sudden, all these charges came upon me, and I'm begging you, and I'm letting you know to please take more consideration. Please read more up on this particular case. I just want my job. I just had a baby. He's a month and a half. His name is Kennedy Josiah Coronado. And I'm imploring you to give me an opportunity, at least to have me see you in person and look into your eyes and let you know that I did not do this to these students. I did not hurt my students. I've been an educator for 20 years. I've never had an issue. I never had a complaint. I ran for the Antelope Valley College Board twice already. I just recently ran for the high school district. I lost by 370 votes. I'm very involved in my community. And I am just asking you for an opportunity to please evaluate. You're about to make a decision that is going to impact my whole entire life. I waited to have my kid about to be 48 years this year. And your decision is going to impact my life. And I want you to please consider what you're about to do, because if anybody is ever innocent under this circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, it is me. So I'm asking you to please touch your heart. Please take this under consideration. Please review this. I understand how the system works. I understand that based on these allegations, somehow, some way, I'm probably gonna you're asked to dismiss me. Please don't do that. Please take more time to deliberate.
I'm sorry, sir.
Please take more
Your
time
time's
to
up.
read the
Thank you.
reports. I thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other comments on this matter before we vote? I see none. So colleagues, I'll ask one last time. Questions or comments? Motions on the floor, and it is seconded. Trustee Vela, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I'm just curious if General Counsel can address Ms. Parker's, again, point about not receiving a hearing. Thank you.
And thank you, Trustee Vela. What I would say, and again, I think this has been also made clear, there is the notation by council was for a different process. That was a Title IX process. This is a different process moving on a different track. So there is no legal requirement that one follow the other. And there will be adequate due process as part of this particular process. At that particular time, the individual will have a process that will afford due process in terms of the issues that have been raised.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions, trustees? Okay, seeing none, there's a motion and a second on the floor. We'll proceed with the roll call vote.
Trustee Wilna,
Yes.
Trustee Fong,
Yes.
Trustee Henderson,
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
Trustee Moreno,
Yes.
Trustee Vela,
Abstain.
Trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the item moves, and we are now, let's go back to item EE and FF. So EE is announcements and indications of future proposed actions by members of the Board of Trustees. I know we had a quick dialogue during the Chancellor's report. I don't know if there was any other things to announce or requests for future actions here by any of the board members. Hearing none, we will move forward to public comment, and these are requests to address the Board of Trustees regarding matters not on the agenda. And I do believe we had 4 that were listed in the earlier agenda. Are those, Lupe, is it possible we have 3 minutes for those individuals? If we can take those first, and we will open the floor to other individuals who are in the meeting as participants and wish to address the board. So, Lupe, can we go by those folks who initially signed up?
Sure. So the first one is number 1, East LA College Theater major student. You have 3 minutes.
It looks like she's no longer on the call.
Okay. Next is Miss Serenity Reed. It looks like she's not on the call either. Okay. Miss Roxanne Sanchez.
She's not on either.
Okay. Miss Rosa Gutierrez. I see her.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for letting me speak. My name is Rosa Gutierrez. I'm a classified employee who works in the Los Angeles Southwest College. It is a blessing for me the fact that I was allowed to work from home during this pandemic. I'm a single parent of 5 children who would be hit very hard if I would not have a job. I have witnessed how our attendance and enrollment has decreased because of COVID-19. I understand that going back to work and to school, we will ensure better numbers to our colleges. However, I'm here to ask you to reconsider the idea of reopening our campuses and focus more on staff and student safety. 8 members of my family and myself got infected with COVID in the past 3 months, including my daughter who was 7.5 months pregnant and my 1-year-old grandson. I have long-term COVID symptoms. My family and I are fully vaccinated. However, my younger children do not qualify to get vaccinated yet, since they are younger than 16. I'm considered a high risk for COVID complications due to my current health conditions. At Southwest, I work in an open area, in which we have close contact with our students. Once again, please reconsider opening the colleges back and focus more on people's health. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Norma Ramirez. Please unmute yourself. Thank you, Norma. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, board members and Chancellor Rodriguez. My name is Norma Ramirez, and I'm a former student of Los Angeles Mission College and also a community leader. And before I continue, I would like to congratulate Elias Geronimo, as his story is the story of many students that struggle, that have struggled to get an education. As we get ready to hopefully go back to normal operations soon, I hope that as we go back to a more normal, the quality services of students is your top priority. Hiring practices need to change so we can assure the new hires, that the new faculty hires reflect ethnic and gender diversity of the student population. It was 2010 when, after much asking, we got Chicano Studies Department at Mission College. It is now 2021 and we only have one part-time Chicana Studies professor, a mujer. It's only a part-time job. After many qualified Chicanas were interviewed for the last hire, not one was selected, and this compadre network and sexism at Mission College has to end now. We are asking for at least 4 mujeres Chicana hires. We are asking the name of the Chicano Studies Department to be changed to Chicano Studies. Monte Perez needs to fix this before he leaves. And it is you, our elected board members, who need to take action on the issues presented here today. I hope that all of you are listening. I sat through the meeting very faithfully. It was a great meeting with lots of information to learn. And, you know, these issues, we shouldn't be needing to discuss them. It's a given that, you know, that we need more representation of mujeres in the Chicano Studies Department. Why wouldn't we, you know, be able to change the Chicano Studies name? And I am very glad to be back. I am very glad to see Ms. Huffman, that when she was running her election, came to my house and asked for the now endorsement. So I'm glad to see her shine. I'm glad to see, you know, all her support for the students. There's some of you that I know for many years. So I'm hoping.
I'm sorry, the 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Norma.
Thank you. We have one that just signed on and raised his hand, Ricardo Hooper. If you could unmute yourself, you have 3 minutes. Ricardo, I just saw you.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board. I'm here because I want to bring a matter to the attention of the board about a reimbursement. I'm a faculty member at West LA College, and I served as athletic director for 7 years until last year. In that capacity as athletic director, a couple of falls ago, I spent about $18,000 on student transportation, not wittingly, but as a result of just the circumstances. And so I went to my supervisor, and what happened was I followed the process, and I went to the company, and the company said they wanted a credit card as security. I went to my supervisor and said, I need a credit card for security to secure the buses for transportation, although we've put out to bid and follow the procurement processes. I was told, no, you're not getting a card, you handle it yourself. So I put my card down as a personal security, Well, the company charged my card. Again, I charged about $18,000. I received about $12,000 back. April of last year, I received notice I would not be retained as athletic director, but I've still tried to secure the $5,000 that are left. I asked the president, and the feedback that I received from him, from the general counsel, was you're not entitled. I'm not saying that the district does not have the right to keep the money. My question is, why would you, when I acted in good faith and service to the students, and I attempted to follow the processes, and 2/3 of the money has been reimbursed, and now I'm being said, because I'm no longer the athletic director or whatever, for whatever reason, that I'm not entitled to receive the rest of the funds back. And by the way, those additional funds were approved, all but $500. And I said, well, no, let's just do it one time and get all of the funds processed. But at this point, I'm being told I wasn't entitled, and I came to the board because I'm not sure where else to turn in the effort to secure my funding back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper. And I did receive your email, and I forwarded to the Chancellor for response. So thank you for that. Any other public comment for items not on the agenda?
It looks like that we're done. Oh, there's one more raising her hand, Jenny Vasquez Flores. Let me bring her in. She was actually signed up earlier and didn't make it.
That's okay. There's a note here in the chat that her baby woke up, so she's obviously welcome. And Jenny, you have the floor.
My name's Jenny Vasquez. I'm a student at LA Mission College. I want to kind of coattail with Norma and say that, yes, we need representation of female teachers on our campus. Right now, it's a shame that, again, none of our teachers are Chicanas. And it's a shame that we have to take a Chicana's study class from a Chicano. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's more empowering to get it from someone who knows our struggle and can teach us on a different level than a Chicano. I also want to say, you know, I would like to see more faculty faculty backup to our MECHA organization. It's been very lacking this semester, and I don't know why. We've been doing everything protocol for our events, for our meetings, and it just seems that the Chicano department wants to cut ties with MECHA, and it's unfortunate because most of our members are Chicano study students, and when they see that our department doesn't want to be a part of or doesn't want to events that we host, it's really putting a damper on incoming members wanting to continue to be in our organization. And again, you know, being part of MECHA and being part of the Chicano Studies has awakened this passion for the community. And I would be saddened that once I graduate, that organization goes down and we're not able to continue to help our community with our events that we host. Just want to say thank you again, and hopefully, you know, we get together and hash out some details on how we can get, again, more more teachers to be more involved with our events and see what we're doing for the community. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jenny. Any other comments? Last call for public comments here for items not on the agenda.
No hand raised.
Okay, sounds good. So with that, we have
Trustee Bettis?
Yes, Trustee Bona.
I do have to, say that, after hearing some of these comments at the beginning, it's and I've sent a few of you notes. It's very embarrassing to hear these comments. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And I know we're not supposed to comment, but I believe a name change is coming per Dr. Pettis, per the interests of what has been expressed. So that piece, the larger discussion of full-time faculty is an important and relevant discussion.
Chancellor, and I know this is not agendized, and Trustee Bona, in your committee report, you gave us a pretty good summary of a lot of the activities taking place in ethnic studies, but perhaps in your committee and in the ad hoc that we have working, that you can take up these issues and concerns that have been expressed here. And it's obviously challenging from our board level, in this meeting, in this format, to be able to sort of dig deeper into the concerns that have been expressed by the students and the community members. And certainly, I think I did see some emails that came forward from some of the faculty members there as well. So I think if it could be comprehensively pulled together, that would be very helpful for those of us that may not know some of the specific details of what the comments were referring to. I think that would be important. So I know it's not agendized, but I just want to say, I'll take it as speaking on future items. We'll reopen E and indicate if we can do that as a next step.
One last comment. I have to say it only because my iPhone is getting blown up. That I think the fact that the community fought to develop the Chicano Studies department there, and the fact that it's very common. The discipline of Chicano Studies has switched to Chicano Studies a long time ago, and not to have one or more permanent of the 3 faculty be female is embarrassing as a district. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, student trustee Geronimo, you have your hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I want to make a comment on the Chicano Studies. Well, I have already taken all of my requirements, and I left 2 classes to complete my LACCD. But the 2 classes that I left at the end for the summer was one class in art for African American Studies and 1 class for Chicano Studies. I think it was Chicano 44. But when I started looking at the class schedules of most of the colleges, I didn't find any. So I don't know if this is normal or not, but I did not find those classes at all for the summer. I look at City, Trade, West, and ELAC, couldn't find any. I don't know if this is normal. And there should be 1 class in the summer at least for those classes, because it's very important.
Okay. Chancellor, perhaps we can have our team reach out to the trustee to find. I'm surprised that he cannot find a class in our district to do that. So I hope that's hope that's not the case. But if we can please follow up and ensure that we can actually have that take place at the very least. But anyhow, trustee, thank you for raising the concerns. Obviously, it's important to us that are here, and we want to make sure that that's not the situation that students are finding here. So, okay. Thank you for that, colleagues. With that, we're at the end of our meeting. And if there's no objections, colleagues, we will stand adjourned.
Okay, thank you and good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, student trustee.
Night.
Thank you, student trustee. Good night, everyone.
See you soon.